Hello, everybody, and welcome to the deepest dive on Pokemon Legends Arceus. It is the best, most thorough discussion about this game on the internet. Prove us wrong, everybody. I'm Ben Hansen, joined by Sarah Podzorski.
Hello.
Hello, thank you for being here.
I didn't realize I had to say something.
I don't know. I think that's the format. Hello, Janet Garcia, also here.
Hello, I'm here, and I'm ready to talk about Pokemon.
Hell yeah. From the Video Game History Foundation, the co-director herself, Kelsey Lewin, thank you for being here.
Hi. You got the most excited intro.
Yeah, well, it's honestly, I record with these other people a lot, and I guess we just, podcasted a couple weeks together, but it's always exciting to have you. You don't have to just, unravel the full history of the Pokemon series, but we like knowing that you can. We like knowing that it's on the tip of your tongue, that you're ready to go with any history knowledge if you need it.
I'm not gonna, but I totally could.
Yeah, look, everyone's always asking you about, some magazine from 1988 and how many copies are left and all this stuff. But I have a very specific question for you. You had a tweet the other day where you said that, first of all, Edward Snowden liked an Animal Crossing tweet of yours, and that Post Malone used to sell you chicken in high school? What the hell are you talking about? You can take either of those. I'm curious about both.
They're both pretty simple. Edward Snowden tweeted about video games at one point, and I, responded to him with a long thing about Animal Crossing and which one he should play, and he liked it. And and then the Post Malone thing. I am, I think, a year or two older than Post Malone, but he went to the high school just down the street from me.
Okay.
And he worked at the Chicken Express that was right next to my high school boyfriend's house, and so we went there all the time in high school, through the drive-thru. And so we bought chicken from Post Malone. And
you remember his face, from then? Or how are you confident that it was Post Malone before he was famous?
Because I went there, constantly, and he worked all the time.
And he said, hello, my name is Post Malone, eat this chicken?
Look, I remember that everybody who worked there looked like a stoner, so...
Okay.
I'm I know that I know in my heart that I bought chicken from Post Malone.
You mean Post Malone from the 25th anniversary of Pokemon video?
Yeah.
Hey, the very same. Okay, what this is, everybody. This is a huge community game club all about Pokemon Legends Arceus. You can look at the running time of this YouTube video and say, my God, why is this a YouTube video, not a podcast? Good news, it is a podcast. You can unlock the podcast version of this episode, all of our other episodes, all of our deepest dives from the past, all of them moving into the future for all time. If you just go to patreon.com/minmax with 2 N's, there are 2 N's there, support us at the $5 tier, and you can unlock the podcast version of this, and also, early access to the MinMax show, our Patreon exclusive podcast, MinMax Party Chat. If you want to support the show, we appreciate it. If you enjoy this format, if you enjoy us being this thorough and this particular and having a big celebration of Pokemon, we'd enjoy the support over there. We have a bunch of comments that people submitted over there on Patreon, at patreon.com/minmax with 2 N's. At the $2 tier, you can submit a comment. We had maybe more comments than, God, it might be since Final Fantasy VII Remake that we've had this many comments. People have a lot to say, and... last bit of plugging, I swear. But we're going to be back in 2 weeks. And so if we don't talk about a topic, and there's a lot of stuff in the rest of the game that we obviously aren't going to be talking about in this discussion, and we want you to submit your comment over on Patreon. At the $2 tier, you can submit a comment for us to read on the future episode of this series. But for this discussion, we are covering everything in the game up until the first boss fight. Lord Cleaver. Right when we beat Lord Cleavor, that's when we're stopping for this discussion, so there won't be any spoilers for anything after that. Okay, Janet, so we had hundreds and hundreds of comments over there on Patreon, and we like to start these things off, the deepest dives off, with asking, what is the most common comment? What do you think the most people commented about? There were recurring themes. People just couldn't stop talking about certain things. What do you think it is?
Okay, oh, God. The first thing that came to mind is the fact that you threw food to kill the boss, assuage the boss.
Okay, interesting. Okay, yep. Okay, it was commented upon. Yep, but that's not it. Sarah, what do you got?
Oh. Is it something about Bidoof?
We got a lot of Bidoof. That was number 4, maybe. But not number 1. Kelsey, what do you think?
I'm going to go with people being surprised that they really like this game.
That's interesting. That was up there. But the most common comment submitted over there on Patreon was people trying to wrap their minds around the idea of Pokemon shrinking and Pokeball technology in general.
You're confused about it now?
Okay, but I think like them trying to explain it a little bit more and get into the lore just a little bit, it raises so many more questions.
What's the ball made out of again? It's like wood and like some dreams or something,
and
right?
fireworks.
A little apricorn and all that stuff. I mean, Aaron T here has it saying, hey, what are your thoughts about the revelation that Pokemon, quote, possess the odd power to shrink themselves down, and that's how they fit into Pokeballs? It reminds me of midichlorians being introduced in Star Wars, an explanation for a part of the universe that didn't need one. I guess so. Like, people were really debating how this works and whether they've ever touched on it before. And it's like, they're called pocket monsters. I guess it's kind of implied that they can shrink down even without the Pokeballs being a factor, right?
Okay, two thoughts. There's a Pokemon move called Minimize.
Yes.
That is literally that. That is the Pokemon shrinking. But I actually think it's just the professor, like, talking out of his butt. Like, I think he's just kind of making stuff up. And like, that's his explanation. He's like, this is why it works. They must just be able to shrink.
So it's kind of like the equivalent of like if we went back to the 1800s and people, like a scientist was talking to us about like diseases and stuff. And it's like, okay, buddy, you clearly have no idea. It's like these people
it'd be
just
like there's
discovered
ghosts
Pokemon.
in your blood. That's the explanation. So
No, you're totally right about Minimize though. Stephen Woodson submitted a comment over there and said, can every Pokemon learn the move Minimize then? Is that what that means? They're just denying the ability to do it, I think. It is confusing, right? The idea that, so even without Pokeballs, they can shrink down. This is just a component going back to the origins of Pokemon in the Pokemon world that they've never really talked about.
Who found out that they could shrink? Who was like, if I throw this tiny ball at this little monster,
right,
it gets sucked in and then I can carry it around.
And I feel like they're giving a mouse a cookie with Pokemon lore. Like they're trying to open the door a little bit and be like, no, don't you see this is the origins of Pokemon? We'll explain some things. But it's like, well, now we have 1,000 more questions about where babies come from. We have 1,000 more questions about how exactly this whole thing works. Like, yeah, they just made an apricorn one day and threw it at a Pokemon and then somehow it went inside of it. And they said, okay, this is technology officially. It doesn't make any sense. So look, it's confusing.
I think like it's not meant to be, you're not meant to take the lore seriously at all.
100%.
This is not a game where they're clearly not paying attention to continue, like, making sure that the lore is the same in all of the Pokemon properties, right? Like, can we just basically ignore it and be like, yeah, that's flavor text, who cares?
I didn't even remember them saying that, I'll be honest. And I did read like pretty much everything carefully. There were a few things I spammed through a little bit, but because I streamed a large part of what we played for this section, I like was reading everything. And I don't really remember. The main thing I remember people saying is Pokemon are terrifying because literally like 12 people tell you that in the span of like 18 minutes.
Isn't it bizarre?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I actually enjoyed that idea of everybody in this town just screaming about how terrifying Pokemon are. But I think that's largely because like, okay, that's just giving them some room to grow. By the end of this game, the big lesson is like, oh, it turns out Pokemon are our friends after all. And now as a world, we'll never forget this. But I still think it's cool. And I was excited at that idea of them talking about just how every Pokemon's terrifying. Just because like for the first time ever in the video game mainline Game Freak series, I feel like the writers actually have something to write about. It's not Shakespeare, but it's like it's at least something interesting for people to discuss is how genuinely terrifying these creatures out in the woods are instead of just buildings have roofs, you know, or whatever nonsense NPCs normally say in the Pokemon games.
Like you take 5 steps outside the town and there's just like a bunch of Bidoof rolling around and you're like, this is scaring you? Are you guys
they're
okay?
causing havoc in the town. Like in side quests where you have to find them. I could not find those Bidoof for the life of me. I'm like, I'm about to pull a button. Like I was playing with my like my boyfriend was there and I'm like, yo, you find these Bidoofs? Because I'm not like, I don't know where they're blending in with the background. People were talking about the visuals aren't that hot. I'm like, you can't be hiding stuff when you're not like the fidelity, the lines are not really there. But no, I found them fine.
Yeah, that did take a while.
He told me where they were.
It really helped, honestly, because I streamed my first, was it like 7 hours or so with this game? And so having the chat trying to like slowly guide me around made it so I didn't get too frustrated by searching for these Bidoofs. But yeah, like the way that they set up that first time that you go out into the field is very much like, are you sure you're ready for this? Like it makes Yeah.
Can we back up to like the start of the game?
Please.
Like, can we walk through the first hour of the game together? Because there's a lot to unpack in that first hour.
Absolutely.
Starting with the fact that that this game is an isekai. Did anyone else see that coming?
Okay.
And for those of you who don't
Not
know what
at
an
all.
isekai is, it's a Japanese trope of somebody getting pulled into a different dimension, another world, another dimension. You go from your world to somewhere else, and now you basically have to survive. Like, I didn't see that coming, and I'm so upset. I'm kicking myself.
No.
Because it should have been obvious.
Yeah, it's crazy to have like a fish out of water experience in a Pokemon game, but this is the first that I've ever heard the word isekai that really made an impact on me, because it feels like every other person in Twitch was like, oh, so it's an isekai game. Like, how does everybody know isekai? Am I really
It is
alone?
So
here?
saw Sarah stream first, and they're like, "Oh, well, we all know this now."
It could be.
But like isekais are really popular right now, like very popular in like manga, light novels, anime. They're like taken off. They've been taken off for like the last 5 years. So that's why when we see, you know, like a game like this, we're like, oh, yeah, that makes sense, I guess. We'll just do it, I guess.
Right. It's a little bit, it just feels to me like, oh, I guess in that mold, a little bit like a Miyazaki film or something, like a Spirited Away. Just, you got to be this fish out of water. Do you know what isekai translates to?
Different world.
Okay.
The world.
Interesting. Yeah, I did not see this opening coming at all. Did anybody understand what was going on in those opening moments?
I mean, I wrote down some of the funniest sentences I've ever written down as notes.
Okay.
Which is like God kidnapped me.
That's like some weird cult language, I think.
Mine's like, God took my cell phone.
Yeah, no, God dropped a cell phone from the sky for me.
I would be really mad if like God took my cell phone. Like, I don't care if you're God. Like, that's
Right.
mine.
Take me, Lord,
But hey,
but don't
God,
take
it's
my
me,
cell phone.
Margaret.
So here's how it starts, is with just a weird mystical aura, and then apparently Arceus saying, quote, "It is well that thou art here. I am that which humans call Arceus. Seek out all Pokemon, and thou shalt find me once more." Truly bizarre. Yes, Sarah, are you raising your hand, or are you just
Is
excited?
it Arceus or Arceus?
Arceus.
So I thought it was Arceus, and I heard this explanation for why they're calling it Arceus in the States now, and I don't know if this is true. I've done no research into this, but it's funny, so I'm going to say it's true.
You got it.
Which is that you can't let those pesky British people say arse, because it's really funny to them, so they had to make it a hard C.
Interesting.
Because I've been saying Arceus because I said Arceus, and then everyone was like, "That's not how it's pronounced."
I always thought it was
going with a hard
Arceus.
C.
Yeah.
I like it as Arceus. Like, I think it sounds better. And I've never been a big stickler for like. At a certain point, the Pokemon pronunciation stuff, I'm like, look, man, we all know what we're talking about. Who cares? But it is at least, like, you know, I guess in the States, Arceus, because I've heard it, like, when I was at GameStop and they were, like, promoting it with the commercial, it's Arceus, like, an Ark, like Noah's Ark. But I could take, we can just do whatever we want. I feel like it's not a big deal.
I thought it was cool, and I had, like, the inside track, because I remember there's an episode of House where Dr. House makes a reference to the Pokemon god Arceus. And I remember really seeing that clip and being so struck.
Really?
He talks, like, it's just like one of these weird offhand moments where he's like, well, the god Arceus. And then he goes on and talks about it, but I don't think he ever explains that it's Pokemon. So everybody else in the room is like, what is he talking about? What mystical religion is this? And then just kind of moves on. He basically does a little wink and a nod for Reddit, I think, just to be like, hey, pay attention to House, season 8, everybody. It's still going. So I guess Arceus, if we can try and remember and keep it that way, but everybody's naturally very confused with all this stuff. Hurley13 Tank over there on Patreon says, I'm pretty fuzzy on Pokemon lore these days, but did God just send me back in time after confirming my name? Yeah. Try and keep up, man. This is Pokemon these days.
And then
It was
he gave
funny
you a
seeing
cell phone.
the classic, but also, what do you look like? Like, you know, come on,
Come on, God, come on.
Jesus, Pokemon God wouldn't know what I look like. Was I not created in your Poke image? I don't really know what's going on narratively here, so I'm not sure.
So what do you all think is going on here? Are there any theories?
Obviously, we're the chosen one. Obviously, we're God's favorite. Obviously. Like, are you kidding me? Like, of course we are.
Yeah, I guess so.
We're like fulfilling a destiny, like following Sarah's train of thought. We're like fulfilling a destiny, and it's one of those weird time confusion loops where kind of similar to like, well, I don't want to spoil other games, but where you end up in that time loop of I have to send the kid version back so that you will be who you are, for infinity or whatever.
Now it's a time loop?
And this is the Forgotten City Pokemon edition, Sarah. I'm so sorry.
Oh, interesting.
But I feel like it's something like that because then people do speak of you as if they're like, oh, you're like the ancient one who wielded whatever power.
That's a good point.
That part's also confusing because everyone's acting like this is the first time that people have started using Pokemon. And then they're like, oh, except that ancient guy who like used Pokemon a lot, actually. And it's so old, we're already in the old parts. What?
It is very, obviously, this is a thing that's going to come up a fair amount in the comments, is it's very Breath of the Wild. But that idea, I think, of like, oh, the recurring hero, it seems like they're trying to tap into some of those vibes there. And Hoots here, some of the comments saying, before my comment, I just want to say how amazing you all are at throwing Pokeballs. Without your 50-year-old ball-throwing self, the Hisui region settlers would be doomed, so thank God you're here. It is, the only way I can wrap my mind around what's happening in the opening of this game is like, maybe it's like a weird, it's like The Invention of Lying, that movie that everybody loves and remembers. It's like, maybe this is a world where nobody's ever thrown anything. And just the idea of your little 15-year-old arm just going, meh, just a little bit, is like blowing minds left and right. Like, you can make something project from your arm? Because the way they're all into this is unnerving.
You can throw it. We never thought of it. What if you balled up the food? This is a whole new idea.
The other theory, though, is, and I hope that it's this smart to go this way, but I don't think it is, because other people have really kissed your ass about this. But when it was just the professor being like, I've never seen somebody throw a Pokeball like that. I've never seen anybody throw anything. This is amazing. I thought, like, maybe the professor is tricking us, and he just wants to stay close to us because he needs to study us because we came from the mystical portal in the sky. So he's just saying that we're really good at throwing to be like, oh, you got to partner up with me. I'll stay close to me, buddy. I got you covered. But I don't think the game is that diabolical. I think it's just genuinely.
This is a really deep read on what is ultimately a Pokemon story, which, you know, it's like, I mean, I want to get into the Monster Hunter comparisons later, but like, it's like a story in Monster Hunter. I don't know how much any of you guys have played, but like, you're not supposed to pay attention to the story. Like, it's there because it's like gotta be there, but that's not what the game's for.
Right. Yeah, I know. I think just with every Pokemon game, you're always kind of hoping that they're going to step it up. And it's not that they're not going for it. Like, they're taking wild swings, you know, like we did.
I don't know what else you want, because you literally have a cell phone that God texts you on. Like, God is sliding into your DMs to show you where you need to go on the map. Like, this has never been done before.
It's so, the line that made me laugh is, quote, you found something resembling a phone. It's probably your phone, but it's changed shape. Okay. All right, Pokemon. I got it.
Also,
as opposed to like someone else's phone.
Show it to the professor.
Right.
And you immediately are like, look. And they're like, that's nice. And I'm like, you've never seen this technology before. It's a phone. It's God.
I should be your God. I think at one point
you're in the field too, and they're kind of like, well, is that like a phone you have?
Whip out your phone and you keep showing people.
So why do you think that our Lord and Savior Arceus like shot the lightning for Cleavor and powered him up and all that stuff?
I don't think that was Arceus.
You don't think so? That's just them.
They said there was some great evil. I talked to a child in the village.
Yeah.
Who now tells me that I have to collect 170 wisps. 107 wisps. And this child told me, nobody else, that there's some great evil, a calamity, quote unquote, another calamity.
Interesting.
That we need to stop. And I'm like, okay, something else is coming out of this scussy in the sky, but like, I don't know what it is.
Maybe it's the broken time loop. Makes lightning happen. I don't know.
Okay, and then that lightning just enrages all the Pokemon, all the alpha Pokemon that it charges up and all that stuff. Yeah, I was struck by like the jump in logic that they make, where they say, okay, so Iridia here says, if you came from the land on the other side of the space-time rift, could you be from the land where the mighty Sinnoh resides? So that immediately was like, wait, so God has like abandoned them in this universe and they all agree that God is no longer here? And then it's like that crazy jump where then Adaman just says, you must have traveled thanks to Sinnoh's power. Think of it, you must have been swimming in its divine might. It's like, people are making some wild leaps of logic here that I hope they explain in some way.
No, they're not. Can I also say, God's texting us, and we're in the middle of like the Holy Wars. There's like a crusade going on between the Diamond Clan and the Pearl Clan, and they're arguably talking about the same God, but they argue that they're talking about different gods. Like, I'm a 15-year-old child.
Also, the fact that it's like,
well, they're also 15.
The Diamond Clan, the Pearl Clan, and I like read this dialogue for like 12 minutes because like, you know, the story can be kind of like drawn out at certain cutscenes, and then I was like, oh, Diamond and Pearl, like the other game. Like the fact that it took, you know, sometimes when talking about the narrative of Pokemon, like definitely it's one drawn with thick marker, and like at one point, you know, in the older games you go into space and stuff, like it just gets crazy and you're just like whatever. But I'm like, maybe it's written for people who are, maybe I'm actually just dumb enough for this story.
It could be, yeah. They just have to take some big swings. Like it still blows my mind. You know, we did back at Game Inform, we did a game club discussion for Pokemon Sun and Moon, and I'm so glad we did because there was like so much weird stuff happening in Pokemon Sun and Moon that I feel like everybody just collectively forgets. The stuff about like alternate dimensions and that weird sci-fi areas, that blonde lady, or even like Pokemon X and Y where there's like a 50-foot homeless person. I swear to God, if I polled everybody that played Pokemon X and Y and said, do you remember that storyline about a 50-foot homeless person?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
Well, you two are like
ancient
experts.
Pokemon Wars. When is it happening? When are the Pokemon Wars happening?
Well,
we're about to see the big 50-foot homeless person.
I hope so.
That's what this story ends with. Is you become the 50-foot.
Please.
No.
Z or whatever the hell his name was. It's the most forgettable weird stuff, but they're going for something. Andrew R. Palermo writes in and says, Pokemon character, there's a giant monster causing damage. But first, would you like to hear about our Lord and Savior? Well, yeah, you know. Michael Kamier says, I think it's really interesting how much of a role religion plays in this game, where the Diamond and Pearl clans are worshiping Almighty Sinnoh and designated Lord Pokemon to sort of acts as conduits. Well, Pokemon has perhaps had some religious themes in the past. This is the first time I can remember where it's so prevalent. Yeah, and Mike Spam here is a bit of an expert. Mike Spam says, as someone who is a sucker for Pokemon lore, I have to say I really dig how the clans are set up in reference to the meta lore of Gen 4. The two clan leader names are references to Adamant Orb and Lustrous Orb, which are held by Dialga and Palkia, to boost their power into the other games. And then in direct reference to the fact that they are split games in the same generation, each of them believes there's only one god represented by their respective box art. The legendary Diamond Clan worships Dialga, Pearl Clan worships Palkia. Thank you for being an expert for the true backstory of these two weirdos. I think for the rest of us, we just look and say, that lady has like weird floaties on like 3 of her limbs, just like...
Those are bracelet flasks.
Oh, I see. That makes more sense now. Mm-hmm. I get it. Okay, we're not done yet. And we have a lot to get to. I don't know if you all are aware of this. We have more thoughts just on people trying to wrap their minds around the opening of this game. We have, of course, Landon Tyler Cook saying, at the start of this game, it seems like you were sucked back in time to your current predicament. I'm just curious, what's happening back home? Has mom gone to the police? Are there missing persons posters going up? Where is dad? What is going on? Yeah.
I wonder if that's resolved at the end.
It has to be, right? Like, ooh, what do you think, Sarah?
Really? Well, because usually in an isekai you die. Usually you get hit by a truck. But I don't think they would do that in a Pokemon game. But usually you very specifically get hit by a truck.
Maybe once you fulfill...
I wonder if it's like... Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say nonsense, but the nonsense goes like this. Maybe it's like once you fulfill your mission, then like Arceus will just like smite you with a truck. He'll just be like, now to wipe the slate clean, this time loop needs to be wrapped up in a tight bow. I think it'd be a cool move if you just never went home again. You never had any context for who you are. But I think they'll have some dopey scene of like you waking up back in your time and your mom being like, I'm so glad you're alive, little
Was
Sarah.
Was it all like a dream?
I think it'll be dumber. I think he'll give you a choice at the end. God will be like, so I can send you back to your time, and you'll be like, no, I want to stay here with my friends. And then
your friends are your Pokepants to your Pokemon.
And that's so they don't have to like render an entire other like modern world. And I mean, you know.
Right.
Well, in the beginning, doesn't it say like wake up? And it's very like Legend of Zelda-y where someone's like shouting at you to get up, like wake up.
I think so. Maybe you already got hit by the truck. Maybe you're in a coma.
Yeah, they're just going to pan back to you in your bed and it's your mom or something.
I think so. I think that's right. Biscuit here.
How would they do the post game if they did that?
Well, I guess this would be after. That's a good point. Maybe.
Well, that's why I'm saying you're just going to be like, I'm going to stay here with my friends. Like, so that you don't have to deal with any of that.
I want more potato mochi.
Yeah.
More potato mochi.
Visquit says, so from my understanding, are we the protagonists from Diamond and Pearl that got transported through the portal? Does this make the game a sequel to Diamond and Pearl? I like that theory. I think it's a cool idea. I can't say that you're wrong right now. So
They'll never tell us.
Yeah, I think we'll go along with that. Benjamin Jennings here has a great way to look at it. He says that opening is lunacy, but I think it's being so strange from the start to help tell players familiar with Pokemon that this is something new and different from the mainline games. I think there's something to that. I mean, starting it up, it definitely was starting on a note of like, wait, what are you doing, Game Freak? What is happening here? And not necessarily in a bad way. It's easy to dunk on and make fun of, but it's like, okay, this is at least a bizarre note to start out on. And then the rest of the game, so far for me at least, has been a series of like, wow, okay, you're really going for it. They're going for it and swinging so much harder than I expected. Sarah, you are giving a face like you're not so sure about this.
I think the weirdest part of the opener was the part where they were like, either you pass this challenge or we throw you out of the village to die. And they kept bringing up the fact that you were going to die.
Yes.
And they were like, many people have died. You might die. Like, we're going to send your rival with you in case you die so they can drag your body back. And then it was like, catch a Bidoof, the bird, and a Shinx.
Yeah.
All in a row. And if you can do that, we won't kill you. Like, this is the first Pokemon game where I think they've really been aggressive about how your life is on the line.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't very much.
To be fair, it wasn't from like the Bidoof and whatnot out there, but like it is a striking moment when I'm genuinely scared of some Pokemon. Even going against Cleavor, like having a moment of like, I am hiding around the other side of this tree because I'm scared of this Pokemon is such a cool new feeling that
What was the first way you died in this game?
Fall damage? Oh, no, drowning. I went in the river because somebody recommended going in the river.
I also drowned.
Yeah.
Someone recommended you go in the river?
Yeah, a lot of people recommend that during Twitch.
Kelsey, did you drown too?
Yeah, I've drowned. Yeah.
It is horrifying. It is just like a nice little swim out there until now it's like, he's like being electrocuted.
The Pokemon are going to kill you. And then I walked into a river and I'm like, oh, I think I can swim. And then immediately no.
It makes it seem like you might have a chance out there in that river before, you're just completely annihilated.
Yeah, your character like acts like they know how to swim for like 2 seconds. And then they're like, never mind.
I guess that's how we all act, yeah. Alan Liebald's totally with you, Sarah, saying, has there ever been a Pokemon game that uses the words death and die so much? You're constantly told that being exiled to the wilderness could lead to your death and how terrifying wild Pokemon are. Yeah, because they are actually scary. It is weird, but you know, we should probably zoom out even from the concept of death. Hey, how do you all like this game so far? Kelsey, what do you think of this thing?
I have really been enjoying it, like in a way that I haven't enjoyed a Pokemon game in a super long time. Like, I stayed up too late playing it several times. Like, really, I'm just really enjoying the loop of it. Like, that there's constantly like one little thing that you can finish, or like, oh, I should just catch one more Pokemon because then I've caught 10 and then you get like a money bonus. Like,
yeah,
all of those things really keep me playing for that just extra bit of time. I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, somebody on Twitch compared it to Nobody Saves the World, which Janet, I know we're partial to, but like just that constant little loop feeding the larger loop, and it turns out then the hours just completely fly by. I'm right there with you. I love this game so far. I cannot wait to keep playing more of it. But it's just a constant little trickle of like, finally, Game Freak, finally, you're finally going for it. And we'll get into all these details, but it is so refreshing. And it's like, it is truly insane that it is the year 2022. And correct me if I'm wrong, but just like throwing a Pokeball and catching a Pokemon, it felt like an epiphany. Like, this should have been like the basic direct control activity I have had for so long. And the fact that it's this year finally that it feels like something new, I'm thankful for it, but there's always a little bit of like, yeah, this is what we've been saying for 20 years, everybody. Let us throw a Pokeball directly and have direct control. It feels amazing. Where are you all at? Sarah, you digging it so far?
If anything, it made me realize that they could make any game, that I throw a Pokeball at a Pokemon and I would be content. I don't know if I necessarily care for the Arceus storyline or the locations or whatever's happening.
Yeah.
But all I need is that Pokeball and that Pokemon, and I am just like completely at ease. I'm having so much fun. But I'm like, if you took this out and like put it in any other thing, I would still like it. That's all I like. Like, there's other things that I have complaints about with the game.
Yeah.
Like, got some weirdness, but it's like something about, throwing that Pokeball at the Pokemon just makes my brain go burr.
Janet, where are you at with this thing overall?
I too feel a basic kinship with pretty much all Pokemon games, like all mainline Pokemon games. And yeah, I'm enjoying this. It took a second to get a little acclimated to it. I did feel a little bit, I don't even know if I want to say overwhelmed, but looking at like the Pokedex and seeing it in such a different context, I'm like, okay, so I'm playing this game inherently differently than I've played all the other games, because even Sun and Moon, which had its own like deviations with the trials instead of the gyms, was still like, all right, I'm still hanging out, catching my Pokemon, do some battles, you grind certain levels, and things have changed, so they've added like XP share and stuff like that to make the grinding easier, but that's mostly the loop. And now, I'm still thinking a little bit of like, who's my team and who do I want to like level up? But there's just enough different in there that I just feel like it's something new to engage with. Yeah. And I like how it still has, a generally similar base. Like, we're going out and we're catching Pokemon and we have the same little side quests that we've always had, but now they're like a little bit easier to track. Now they fit more in line with everything else I'm doing and I'm more interested. I get to do the cosmetic stuff way earlier, which is one of my favorite things about this. Like, the second they left me alone after the tutorials, the many, many quite long tutorials, I'm like, okay, how much money did you give me? I'm spending all of it. We're changing this outfit. I hate the outfit you gave me. I think it Uggs in the ugly. No offense if you like it. I think the boots are ugly. I'm like, I'm wearing my sandals. I'm trying to look cute in this old world. And I went to Sears with my Pokemon and I took pictures. And was it good? No, I'll be honest. There's like no backgrounds. This is like the worst photo mode I've ever seen. Wow. And I'm still showing up. I'm sitting at the bench. I made one of them look sleepy. I'm spamming the capture button and I'm having a good time with just like the little surprises of walking in the field. And I'm like, oh, look, there's this. I've never been so hyped to see Geodude. And maybe that makes me a Gen 1 basic person. But I was like, oh, Geodude's here. Like, what's up, man? Like, let's join the team. Like, and it's just fun. I'm having a good time.
I am totally with you. And like, Kelsey, I think you tweeted that, like, it's just so crazy to be so excited to talk about a Pokemon game. And just to, like, the part that blows my mind is talking to the Twitch chat while streaming this thing and just saying, like, what is going on here? What is this system? So I'm learning new moves by going here, just having to learn new things in a big way in a Pokemon game. Like, how have they rearranged these systems is such a breath of fresh air. Instead of just, I played a lot of the Brilliant Diamond game not too long ago, and it's just like, I can do this with my eyes closed. Let's just keep on plowing ahead. And it's been like that for so many years. And we'll take any scrap we get. Pokemon Sword and Shield was like, okay, getting a little bit warmer. It's technically a console RPG, but this is like the first time it's like, okay, you all are doing it. You're taking such a big leap here. It's so exciting. Let's see. We had, somebody had an interesting way of looking at it. James Game Boy. Perfect name from the Game Boy family. Says, well, I'm getting a lot of the, quote, Pokemon game I've always wanted vibes. I think even more so, I'm feeling like this is the Pokemon game I wanted on the GameCube remastered for the Switch. It's like, yeah.
I did want that vibe today. I was like, who would have loved this? Me when I was 12. Like, I still love it.
Right.
But like, me when I was 12 would have killed for that. And it kind of looks the same as the games that I played when I was 12 too. Not to hate on it too much, but like, I'm like, yeah, no, I get it.
I know, we're not the most technically minded, but it does seem like this is something that a version of this sense of game design could have existed on the GameCube, and it would have been Game of the Year in 2004. And like, there's still some modern sensibilities packed in there, but it is just that weird idea of like, we're still in the past, but it's so good and I'm enjoying it so much that I can't be too pessimistic about it. Joe Dean here submits a question over on Patreon, or a comment. He says, hey, everybody, my question is for Sarah. So I was running around looking for Pokemon when I was ambushed by a Bidoof. I sent out my Bidoof to Bidoof the Wild Bidoof and a Bidoof, but then Bidoof. Hashtag Bidoof most common comment. Thanks, Bidoof, says Jodine.
So I was really hoping that before this podcast, I could catch a shiny Bidoof so that I could give it to you, Sarah.
I feel like trade you a Clefairy. Come here, Sarah. Come get your Clefairy. It's a shiny Bidoof.
Yeah. I feel like that would just be, I think that should just be a goal for all of us, is to try to find Sarah's shiny Bidoof.
Yeah.
And also, he's also a
trade.
bad, yeah, he's also a bad shiny. So, like,
what does
it's
that
not
mean?
even exciting. He's just like a lighter color, isn't he?
Some of the shinies are not great.
Yeah.
Am I
He's a boring one.
Am I a basic Pokemon fan?
Oh, I hate it.
Please tell me. But like, I've played every mainline series to completion except for Black and White. I've started it a couple times, but I haven't got through it. But I don't know if I've ever seen a shiny Pokemon. Is that possible? Am I just not hardcore at all?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've never seen it. I've never seen one.
Okay.
I've never had one.
Good.
I mean, I've seen them like on the internet. You
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
I know they exist, but
Yeah.
I've never
I've
gotten
never
one.
got one before.
Okay.
Everyone's had like red Gyarados, right?
Yeah.
So like, and then there's a side quest in this game where you just kind of get one, which is, it's before the boss. It's within.
Oh,
this.
really? You can
But
talk about it.
Yeah,
What
there's
is
a
it?
side quest where you just get a shiny Ponyta. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a thing that you, like, if you want them, you do have to put in the work, at least in the more modern games, because they give you tools to, like, make it easier. And I think for a game like this where they're visible in the overworld, like, more people are just going to naturally encounter them. Like, that
Right.
actually happened to me. I found a shiny Psyduck, and it was just wandering around. Like, it wasn't... It's just because you're running past all of the Pokemon. So even if you only have that like 1 in 4,000 chance or whatever, it's like, yeah, but I might see 4,000 Pokemon today while I'm running around.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I caught 2 shinies yesterday.
Really?
And I've never caught a shiny in my entire life. And I
Wow.
managed to find 2 yesterday. So it's a lot more exciting.
Yeah, I bet. Bed Bath and Bidoof submitted a comment over on Patreon. They said, this game marks Game Freak's biggest embrace of shiny Pokemon yet, with significantly boosted odds for completing research tasks and even making a loud digital chime when a shiny spawns anywhere on the map. I did not know about that, but I'll keep my ear out. Dennis M. also says, I just caught my first ever non-story related shiny Pokemon, a green Zubat. Obviously, I would usually never have a Zubat on my team, but now I feel like I have to. How would you handle a situation like this? Do you keep a lame Pokemon on the team just because it has a different color? No, kick it to the
Yeah,
curb.
usually.
Send him out to the pasture out back.
Yeah, it sounds so ominous. I like the pasture also.
Yeah.
I just like
I run
a lot
over
of
there
little...
and I look at them.
Yeah, like
I'm
it's
like, hello,
and then
trash.
You can just throw them all out at once and like stand. Like I've seen people. It's so funny because since there's not like a proper, like when there's not proper stuff in Nintendo games, people just make their own fun, which is something, so people are just like throwing them out there and they're like, I'm going to take a picture with them like jankily on like the Switch screen capture, or like, look, they're all friends. I think that stuff's so cool.
Yeah. XChin1 says, the fact that Pokemon are stored not in a PC but in a pasture is delightful. I can't say my character walking around with a phone makes not having PCs consistent, but it did remind me of the absurd and wonderful game called My Pokemon Ranch, which was a WiiWare title, where Pokemon from Diamond and Pearl could be stored a la Pokemon Box or Pokemon Home, but farm style. Did anybody play that game?
I had it.
At some point.
Yeah, it's just, they just are kind of there. Like, I don't know if there was much more gameplay other than just like they're on a farm, but it's kind of cool.
Yeah, I guess that's fine. Yeah, to the idea of having the shiny Pokemon in your crew, though, like normally with Pokemon, and I think this is kind of like a larger symptom of just where the series is at. Like, I will choose a party of freaks. I will just go for like, okay, yeah, Mr. Mime. All right, let's go to the end with Mr. Mime. Let's go to the end with this Zubat and not evolve it. Like, I just like to be a weird oddball, but I think it's really a compliment to this game that this is the first time in a long time that going into it's like, well, I should keep this Bidoof just to troll Sarah because she hates him so much. And Chad is begging me to keep a Bidoof in my party until the end. But it's like, but I can't say no to Scyther. Like, I can't say no to these cool Pokemon. I actually want to have a cool team rolling here because I respect the game and it's actually challenging me. I mean, I'm not fully challenged yet, but like for a Pokemon game, I'm impressed by like, okay, I actually have to pay attention here a little bit and I should care about which Pokemon I have in my team instead of just
like the
down.
I haven't died yet, but I've definitely had plenty of pushback. Even just fighting my like rival because I made a mistake. I put out like something like a water to like an electric, and then like that one died instantly because I was like, "Oops, that's the inverted way." My bad.
At the end, they go, "I think Pikachu's an electric type," and I'm like, "You think Pikachu's an electric type?"
Also, that encounter was weird because I kind of got my like butt kicked, but since they only had like one Pokemon, I like stole like one, and they're like, "Wow, you're really good," and I'm like, we watch the same battle? Because I like threw like 8 people out there, and you had like 1. You went through like 6 of my people. Similarly, the fight against, who do you fight? There's like when somebody's like Pokemon. She's like, go fight this thing I have.
Is it Mai's Munchlax? Because that one was surprisingly tricky.
Well, that thing is like built like a brick house, man. I threw everything at it, and I just couldn't. I could not, like, I mean, I did it, but like I was really like trying to go to a place that I've never had to go to mentally before in a Pokemon game. I'm like, I really got to actually think here. Like, oh man.
Yeah, I don't think we're exactly getting to like Shipping Up, I tend to say 5 levels or something like that, but I'm curious to see where the game goes. Like, I'm just impressed by, at this level in the game, I'm in areas where the Pokemon in the wild are higher levels than I am. Like, even that, it's like, okay, way to go, Pokemon. Like, I like having a little bit of tension here. Seeing a level 30 alpha Parasect out there and being scared of a Parasect, it's like, this is awesome. I've wanted to be scared of a Parasect for a very long time in my life, and finally this game is giving it to me.
It's like, I don't know if any of you played Xenoblade Chronicles, but like that was the first time that I really had that same feeling where it's like you see something off in the distance and you're like, wow, that's level 80 and I'm like level 14 or whatever. That's insane. I need to stay away from that thing because it's going to be mad if I go near it. Yeah,
it's like some old Morrowind vibes. It's just so, again, these aren't revolutionary game design ideas, but for the Pokemon series, it feels like it, and it's worth celebrating. David Tibble here says, yeah, for a Pokemon game, they really took the kid gloves off. This is the first Pokemon game since arguably Black and White 2 that forces you to actually build a team and come prepared. Yeah, I hope it kicks my ass. I hope I have to keep actually grinding and training just to work my way through this thing. Hey, on that Pikachu note, Joseph Dowdy submits a comment over on Patreon. He says, wait, Pikachu says Biga instead of Pika? Has my whole life been a lie?
You don't watch the anime?
Like a Bernstein Bear situation.
But he also says Biga. And they're like, it's interchangeable.
Audibly?
I've only watched, like I watched it a lot when I was a kid. I haven't like kept up with it or anything. But the fact that there was no Pika thrown in there felt like it was meant to mess with me and everyone who had that fake memory.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember if like in Pokemon Yellow, when you would talk to it, would it say Biga in text form back then?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
But it definitely
now, so.
I'm pretty sure he's like audibly said Biga though several times.
Right. The larger idea that this game is still using the digital cries for all the Pokemon, like it's becoming more and more jarring, and this one really takes you out of it. I did like a Twitch poll when I was streaming though, just to ask like, hey, do you want Pokemon to say their own name or do you want them to have the digital cries? 53% of people, at least watching on Twitch, said they wanted the Pokemon to say their own name. Where it's like,
really?
Oh, you like the digital cries?
Well, I just feel like, okay, so that's probably really useful because you're walking around and you start hearing like, you know, like a rare Pokemon start saying its name.
Like
or whatever.
Pokemon Snap, like the original, they would say it. And it's like, what? There's a Shelder around here? Yeah.
Yeah, and so I get that from like an ease case, but I don't know. I feel like that's more annoying than the digital cries.
But it is jarring when, like, you know, these Pokemon are looking better and better in the real world, and then Cricketune comes out, and then it just makes the sound that is an ungodly digital mess, and then like on the text it just says like doo-wop doo-wop. I'm like, what?
That's awesome. I don't see any problem with what you just described.
All right,
that was way funnier than it saying its name. So I'm down for the digital cries. My audio issue in this game is like, where are the tunes at, man? It's quiet.
Interesting.
It's quiet. And I really feel like they should have had more music. And obviously maybe that's like an intentional choice because it's like, oh, well, you're out in the wild. So like there's no radio. But like, come on, it's a game. Like I was really surprised and taken aback by how quiet it was. Like it's the only game that I've streamed in a long time where I had to max like the volume just so we could hear something underneath me talking. Yeah.
God, you feel the same way about like Breath of the Wild? Not to
Breath of the Wild, I feel like had more musical cues because there'd be like, and there are some cues here. Like there's definitely music, but I felt, I'll have to see how I feel as we like continue our playthrough, but I felt like it was kind of quiet. I don't know.
Yeah, Rory Gladstone agrees with you, but it's kind of on the flip side. Rory Gladstone submitted a comment over on Patreon and says, one of the things I've liked most is not having such a loud soundtrack. The earworm themes of Pokemon are great, but it's been so nice to explore and chill in these open fields without a catchy, endlessly looping score. Yeah, I bet they did take some lessons from Breath of the Wild overall for like, you know what? People just kind of want to relax there. We don't need to have just a catchy minute and a half long loop grinding into your skull.
Maybe like meet in between, like have God like put Spotify on my phone. You know what I mean? Like, and just kind of let me decide what I'm doing.
Yeah, but not the subscription version. Paulo
There'd be no
writes
Nintendo
in,
music on it though, because Nintendo doesn't put any of their music on anywhere.
Is that right? Is there no official Nintendo music on Spotify?
And they just did a bunch of copyright strikes on everyone's like YouTube channels. If they have, there's like no, they're like, you're not going to hear anything anymore.
Yeah.
So
are they going to nuke this video from you saying doo wop doo wop wop?
if you get it a little bit cleaner, I think so. Wop do.
Don't seriously don't. Come on. Just on that cry note though, I think it is like such a weird thing. I'm reading too much into it, but I see it as like a weird source of pride of like Game Freak trying to distinguish that like this is our brand of Pokemon versus the anime brand of Pokemon. That's kind of not the real Pokemon just because the anime runs with it and they have the Pokemon actually say their names. That's not the true version. And I know that Masuda, original composer and then director and producer now, that he actually was the one who made all of the cries for the original Pokemon. So I always read too much into it thinking that like, okay, it's kind of his baby. He loves those digital cries. And so in my mind, he's the one that's like forcing it to be in every modern game. Like, no, this is the thing. Because I
like the digital cries.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right.
Yeah, I honestly didn't even, like when you brought it up, it was hard for me to even remember, because it doesn't stick out negatively to me in that
that's
way.
interesting.
It just feels natural. Like there's just animals screaming. It kind of reminds me of on the main show, was it Kyle that had that weird get a load of this with that random animal?
The
that
koala?
Horrible?
Oh, the koala.
Yeah, the koala.
Yeah.
I thought of the koala as I played this.
Yeah, but it's like the koala, if it opened its mouth and screamed, and then it was the sound of in the Matrix when the camera goes down. Sarah, you remember the Matrix? When the camera goes down Neo's throat after the mirror goes in, it's like, it's like that weird digital thing. That's the part that throws me. If it sounded like an animal roaring, that's completely different.
Because it's cleaner now. And I feel like back in the day, like thinking of having a Game Boy and like fighting something and you hear that weird like it's, I like it. It's soothing. It soothes me.
Paulo says, the music that is there, can we all agree that it slaps? I like the music so far. It sounds like
Breath of the Wild, but it does slap.
Yeah, Musky Goron here says, why does each piece of music in the game feel like it belongs in another game? There's a very Breath of the Wild style track during the day, and there's a track at night that feels like I'm walking around the Citadel in Mass Effect 1.
Hey, the night track's my favorite.
It is cool.
I only want to go out at night because it slaps.
It is cool. And I forget if it's like the main town theme. There's some song that sounds like the Blue Monday song, like the dun 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 dun. At some point early on in the game,
Make
it kept
that
looping.
mashup.
It's got to be out there. And they say there's another that sounds like a track from Final Fantasy VII. I actually kind of love that, but it's crazy how varied the music is in this game so far. Yeah, I think it's like an old series composer. I don't think it's Masuda doing the music for this one, but I looked it up, and it's somebody who's been doing music for a long time here. Let's see. Which direction do you want to go, Kelsey? We could go in 1,000 different directions.
I want to talk about something that I don't know if there was a comment about this, but I don't know. I think it's interesting. And Sarah, you've played a lot of Monster Hunter? Yes? Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. So maybe you can back me up on this. I think this is a game built for people who have played a lot of Monster Hunter. Like in the same way that when we get a first-person shooter here in the US, like it's sort of in like a Call of Duty wrapper, like with Call of Duty sensibilities and in just how systems work inside the game. Yeah. Like this game isn't Monster Hunter for sure, but just like the kinds of things you see are for people who like understand how Monster Hunter games work. Mm-hmm. And that's, like telling the guy that you're leaving town and you know choosing where you want to go. That's the item box right before you leave town. That's the campsite.
The collecting of like materials to craft. That's all like textbook Monster Hunter.
Yeah. And I think that's like really fascinating because it feels extremely Japanese to me in a way that Pokemon games have just kind of felt like Pokemon games for a really long time. And this one is like, no, this is a Japanese game for Japanese people. And anyone who's played a lot of Monster Hunter. Like in terms of how it's presenting information to you.
Yeah, totally. And it's just wild to think of like these two franchises running alongside each other. Because the first Monster Hunter was, I'd say 2002, something like that. So they've been running next to each other for so long, and now finally the Pokemon series is like, okay, you got a couple good ideas. I guess we'll jump in there and take some of these things. Meanwhile, Monster Hunter is like, Monster Hunter stories, just Pokemon, whatever we got, we'll take your good ideas and have at it.
That is true. They're like just, yeah, maybe that's the one I should start with. So like slowly on board.
Ooh, that'd be interesting.
Is what, the PS2 one?
No, the
Monster Hunter Stories.
The news stories?
Yep, Stories too.
It's called Stories.
Oh, I was like, don't play the PS2. It is
probably true about a lot of PS2 ones of just anything.
But like it being in that wrapper, for me at least, like in that sort of Monster Hunter wrapper, is the reason that like my brain shuts off the story, because my brain shuts off the story in a Monster Hunter game. And so it's like, I mean, this is the deepest dive, so it is worth talking about here. But in my mind, it's like almost not worth talking about the story, because it's not what you're there to do. Like, you're there for the actual gameplay loop, and they have to put a story in it for reasons.
Yeah, and every indication that we have from people leaving comments and talking to us seems to be that, like, okay, the gameplay loop kind of feels like it starts after this first boss is really when the game opens up. Like Steve Bellegarde here says, if there's one thing I wish this game had actually stolen from Breath of the Wild, it would be the way the game just starts. You climb out of the cave and you're playing the game. After hitting the 30-minute mark of tapping through endless dialogue boxes and legends, I literally yelled at the screen, "Release me!" The game is fun, though.
Did it work?
I think it did, yeah.
I didn't try to do that.
I hear you. It maybe just because I've been streaming it and kind of learning so much new that it's not too much of a negative for me right now, but I was immediately thinking of, like, you know, my nephew, who's a Pokemaniac, but he hasn't really played a lot of the games. It's like, God, this game would blow his mind. And then I think about the idea of giving this game to like an 8-year-old, and it would be hours of them just hitting next during all of this dialogue. It's like, I wish it did have that clean Breath of the Wild opening, even if things would be confusing. There's a way to hopefully teach people what they want to know, but it is a slower start. But now we're cooking with gas, baby. This is going to be sweet. We're out in that open world, I think. Old Scotland says, I knew this was never going to be Breath of the Wild Pokemon, but I was surprised how many similar aspects there were right from the start. A reference to a legendary hero of old, there it is, and you're practically presented with a Sheikah slate in the first few minutes. Even a number of the musical cues seem to be lifted straight from it. Yeah, like even like the loading screen, having like those black bars, like the black bar on the bottom for the loading screen, like, okay, little Breath of the Wild there even, so there's plenty in there. Hey, you know what blows my mind about this game? There's a lot. But one of the things is, as far as I can tell, Pokemon Company hasn't done a single interview about this game. Isn't that wild?
Yeah, that's wild.
It's like, it can't be true. Like, I was really digging through Google, like somebody must have done some interview at some point, and maybe it's in Famitsu or something and just not online. But the director, Kazumasa Iwao, sorry if I'm butchering that, like he directed Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. And as far as I can tell, he also hasn't done one interview about this game, and it blows my mind. Like, there's so many interesting things to talk about, and I hope that it's just not a matter of them just getting tighter and tighter with the press, and this game's going to sell a gazillion units, and I hope their takeaway isn't just like, well, now we'll never have to talk about anything. It's such a bummer. Yeah,
I have so many feelings about that. I mean, some of it is also, I mean, it's like Nintendo compounded with Pokemon, where like Nintendo's not exactly the friendliest company anyway.
But at least they do
the
like
games I consistently buy because I can't get them any other way. But like, I don't know. I hope that doesn't continue. I mean, I think there's like a lot of fun coverage to be done, and it's always so cool seeing like all the questions I get asked. And I mean, I don't know. It does bum me out, especially as, I mean, we're in press and media to some degree, to varying degrees. Like, I wonder how much of that is the Pokemon fandom is so toxic and things got so crazy during Sword and Shield.
That's a very good point.
It also just, like, at the same time, like I am frustrated as like a press member of like how they have not done anything. But at the same time, I'm like, the human side of things, I'm like, hopefully they just find some peace. I just, you know what I mean? Like, it's just been such hell, like everything that the developers went through, like during the last cycle of it, that they probably just said, you know what, it's not worth it. And they're just not doing anything.
And honestly,
I wonder if they were just like, if they really thought this game was not going to review well. Like, I wonder if they were genuinely scared, like this was not going to do well. Someone shared a tweet or like an ad or something from Nintendo that was like, you could read the review scores or you could be playing this game. And it's,
really?
I was like, the review scores are great. So, like, I wonder if there was a fear there that, like, I mean, because let's be very clear, the graphics are not good in this game, and we can talk about that more. Like, there are things wrong with it, but I feel like there was fear about it. I don't know.
I think you're right.
I got that feeling too, because they weren't showing a lot. They were showing the minimal amount that they had to advertise it. And I definitely felt some kind of like wariness. And then everyone was really surprised when the initial reviews came out that were like overwhelmed. I was surprised.
Totally.
At how overwhelmingly positive all the reviews were. And now they're probably like, oh, it's doing well.
Yeah.
Like,
I thought this was going to be like mid 70s on Metacritic. Like, Janet, I think even I scoffed at you on the podcast when you said you chose it for your fantasy league. And it's like, well, who's laughing now? You're going straight to the bank with this sucker.
There we go, man. Like, I'm trying to win it for PS I Love You. And then a second win, if I individually score highest, I get a trophy that never arrived because it got lost in the mail or it took a long time. But it'll get there. And it'll be here if I get it. And I'm excited.
I think you're absolutely right, Janet. Like, so I've been lucky enough to visit Game Freak twice when I was at Game Informer. And one of them was for the Pokemon Sword and Shield cover story trip. And like just the amount of hate that team received, and clearly it impacted them in a big way. The whole National Dex, is that what everybody was outraged about? I know I should have this on the tip of my tongue.
It's like that. Then the fact that like
Dexit,
one of them looked like a skeleton, and they're like, they didn't finish making the Pokemon. I'm like, he just looks like a skeleton. Okay, like you can argue that's ugly design, but like just to pretend like they didn't finish rendering it, it was so much. Like I saw so much stuff, and then anyone that reviewed it also usually gets a lot of hate as well, which I haven't seen quite as much of that either. I've kind of been sleuthing, and I don't really see people mad at positive or not as positive reviews. I think people cool out from the pandemic. I don't know, but it was crazy last time.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it might also have to do with that this is not a game in the competitive meta at all. Like, I think that some people, like a good portion of that hate was probably just from people who like were frustrated that it broke whatever like competitive stuff they had been building up until that point. I mean, I don't know that I could have said that before this game came out and was like, no one's mad that not every Pokemon is in this game. But it must just be the competitive, or actually, I guess I don't know. I assume not every Pokemon is in this game.
I have no idea. And so also, I mean, I think I'm kind of in the dark about, there's the online stuff about like, I don't know, finding a backpack on a mountain or whatever. But outside of that, there's no way to trade online or anything in this?
I've traded.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a little not kiosk, but like a stand. Is that the only place you can trade at? Where it's where you can also switch your MP points for like items and stuff.
Oh, okay.
The trading animation is the best trading animation that they've ever had. I will stake my life on that. It's incredible.
I haven't traded yet, so I'm excited.
It's incredible.
Let's all trade.
That sounds great.
I have an extra giant Buizel.
All right, my Bidoof for your Bidoof. Let's go.
It's just a really long time.
This is it. Let's all trade Bidoofs.
Yep, I got a full team of Bidoofs coming your way, Sarah. But yeah, I think that a reason that maybe, and I'm sure if we went to the Pokemon subreddit, I don't know, I've been dodging spoilers, so I haven't checked it out. But I'm sure people have been pissy about this. But it is, I hate to say that tighter PR and not allowing interviews is paying off for them, but I really do think if they had done interviews, people would have asked them like, what's the online functionality? Why isn't it this? Why isn't it that? And there would have been a half dozen of negative headlines that really made the circuit before this game came out. And in my mind, it's just been like a quiet skepticism until the game launched and everyone says, oh, it's good. So I hope PR does not learn the lesson like, oh, don't let the devs talk. And then we win. Because going back to like the first time I visited Game Freak, I actually interviewed the director of this game, WoW, because he was a director for Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. And I went back and looked at that interview, and it's just like the biggest nothing. It's like, it's him talking about the Alola Photo Club in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, which is like a big new feature in that game. And at the time I was like, yeah, I'm honored to be talking to you, but like Photo Club interview, I don't know. Sure, I guess we'll take it because it's Game Freak's offering it. And now in retrospect, it's like, oh, it's so like, crazy. The director's right there.
That's like the classic thing with any interview, though. It's like the interviewer is trying to get something that like you've never said, and the interviewee is trying to say nothing, and you guys just dance together, and then you go back to your boss, and you're like, this is all I could get. Should I have said it? Should I have asked it in a different way? Maybe they would have had to answer me. I also looked back at my old like Pokemon interview that I did during the preview cycle of Sword and Shield, just to find like little nuggets of like details of things. But yeah, it's always like a very hesitant vibe. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I hope that it's different. It's also a pandemic year as well, which is new to like, I did that stuff hands on. Like I went to the office. Like I'm sure, I don't know. I hope that we see more from them in the future, but also like, I don't know. It was a bummer to see how dark it got. So I'm glad that there wasn't darkness this time, at least.
But just like at the very least, I want them to just kind of like pull a Breath of the Wild, like at the next GDC, even years from now, just do like a big hour-long discussion. Like, here's how we designed Pokemon Legends Arceus. No one can pull negative headlines from that. I hope that info gets out there for what the team went through.
Yeah, I wonder if like now that the sort of PR cycle for it is not as important. Like you don't have to, like it reviewed well. People are buying this game. It's clearly, we're kind of past the point of like shock value negative headlines. I wonder if now might be like, if you just, I don't know, emailed them or something, was like, yeah, can we do an interview now? If they'd be like, oh yeah, because the game did well, sure, yeah.
I tried. I tried sending emails today at least. Just like, we're min-max, we're an indie outlet. We interviewed Sakaguchi, please. Like I tried pulling all the strings I could, so we'll see what happens, but I'm not crossing my fingers. Hey, this is truly the deepest dive because we're an hour in, and you know what we haven't talked about yet?
The rest of the game.
The boss?
No, our freaking starters.
Oh,
come on now.
That's not as exciting as it used to be.
Really? Why is that?
In a game like this, especially because these aren't new starters.
Yeah.
I feel like it's just not as exciting. Like, I want to know what Pokemon you were the most excited to catch, but I don't have.
You actually have your starter there? Who is that?
I don't know. It's just some stupid stress ball
even a
thing.
Pokemon?
Yes, of course. You don't know this Pokemon, Janet? Are you nuts? I don't know what it is. So I always like to choose the underdog. And I was really debating it like, okay, I want to choose a Pokemon that nobody else on the Deepest Dive is going to choose.
Oshawott is not the underdog.
Excuse me? You're saying Oshawott?
Oshawott is.
Is he?
He's absolutely. Yep, we did a Twitter poll.
Splish Plosh.
Cyndaquil, I think, is the front runner for some reason.
I'm throwing out my Rowlet, and I'm picking up Oshawott.
You really should, yeah. So we did a Twitter poll, and 44.7% of people chose Cyndaquil. 21.8% chose Rowlet. Oshawott, a mere 11.9%.
Yeah.
I can't believe
Oshawott was the one that I
monster
picked when he was in the starter. But here's the thing, Cyndaquil graphically doesn't hold up to Rowlet and Oshawott. Like, he looks
interesting. The design
not as great as he did when he was a bunch of pixels.
Well, he still is for Janet's little toy there, I guess. Okay, so you went Rowlet, Sarah?
Yeah, I picked Rowlet because I hadn't had that one before.
I guess you were going to do an Oshawott, and of course Kelsey chooses Rowlet, and she could have an entire team of Rowlets if she could. Okay.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, for people just listening to the audio version, she was holding up a giant plushie of Rowlet and attacking the mic with it, I think.
There's another one behind me, too.
Oh my God.
What do you? How many do you have?
Wait.
Or they're like 8 somewhere.
There's a third.
What?
Oh, that one's sleeping. Is that one? Is that the Sleeping Cuties line? The Sitting Cuties line on the Pokemon Center?
I have that. I have one of those.
I think it's before that. Maybe.
Huh.
I got that one. There's the Sitting Cuties, and they're small, and they sit.
Yeah, when there was like actual Pokemon Center kiosks, which was like for a while they actually had those, and they still have them for the cards, but not for plushies anymore. There was one at the mall that was near my house, and it was just like, I don't know, every couple of months they'd put like new tiny plushies and keychains in there and pins.
Do you have all that Rowlet merch because you just like bird Pokemon and they made a lot of merch because it's a starter, or do you really love Rowlet that much so you have to buy everything Rowlet?
He's really round. Like, you have to understand.
I was about to say, he's a circle. That's his best feature. And then he becomes an archer. I picked Cyndaquil because I like how Cyndaquil looks. Like, he's like cute and kind of like, he has like that little, like, he's like a little pudgy. Like, I like that he's a little bit like chonkers.
Sure.
And then he becomes badass. I don't know if they become different in this one. No spoilers. I haven't looked into any of the stuff.
You haven't seen the final.
I am scared.
I'm excited.
I went just on faith alone, and I'm willing for the Pokemon gods to fail me. But this was my starter back when it was, just the line you pick from, and I always thought cute turns badass. That's a good arc. I like when they go from cute to badass.
Yeah, that's kind of how it all works. Yeah, I was trying to figure out like why is Oshawott so unpopular, and so trying to do the sales math. Like, okay, Black and White, which is where Oshawott came from, right? That was like 15 million units compared to gold and silver. If you combine the remake, that's 36 million units. It's like, okay.
It's because he looks sad. That's why I don't like him. He looks sad, and then he says plish plash, which I kind of hate that.
Do you remember the internet losing its mind over Zobel? Zobel is like the second coming of Christ when Pokemon Sword and Shield came out.
Zobel, that's because all of those starters were like, I wasn't into any of those starters, and I picked Zobel because I like water, so... But I was not a fan. Also too sad. Too many sad water Pokemon.
Well, I can't wait until you see the final evolution of Cyndaquil, Janet.
Just crying.
Interesting.
He actually turns into water. It's crazy.
I mean, I'm sure I've seen it at some point, but I do not know what the final evolution of Oshawott looks like off the top of my head. And so I'm very excited to be going in kind of bold.
I could show you an MS Paint right now. Just give me the normal form and I'll just color on it.
No,
I will say though, I'm kind of obsessed with the horrible tagline, the plish plash. Like me and my family have really clung on to that because we're all playing, like we all played the same like launch night together. And we were like, there's like a song that goes splish splash, I'm taking a bath. It's like some old song.
Well, that's what I'm trying to think of. It's the commercial for like playing with my Cabbage Patch Kids. Or it's playing with something in a bath.
My whole family is like, plish splash, I'm taking a bath. Like it's almost worth it for that line. But I don't know. Let me know if y'all have had that experience since that's just my apartment, but whatever.
Let's see. I looked up Splish Splash commercial and there's a commercial for a water park. That can't be it. Okay, Splish Splash.
I mean, I just know the old song. Like, I don't know that I heard it in a commercial.
Oh my God.
I did think of that song too. So I didn't sing it, but I did think of it, if that's helpful to you.
It's funny because I didn't even know I knew that song, but it like kind of unlocked this memory that was very deep in my mind.
Well, here we go. Get ready for it.
No, that's not it.
No.
Hang on.
That is very much not it.
That's not it.
How many Splish Splash commercials can there
be? You got the wrong Splish Splash.
If you Google like Splish Splash, I was taking a bath. It will absolutely
that's what I did,
up.
and it was that stupid doll being dunked in a tub. Okay, Splish Splash, I was taking a bath. Oh wait.
Yeah, song by Bobby
Darin.
Yeah, it's got some swing to it.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
It's like a 50s song.
Splish splash, I was taking a bath. Long about a Saturday night.
Okay. Yeah. There was some commercial from the 90s where they redid it, I swear.
Oh my God.
Is everybody's eardrums okay? Are we all there? Hey, we got more comments over there on Patreon. It goes a little something like this. Jared B writes in over on Patreon. He says, cohorts, can we talk about how this is the first Pokemon game where the first thing you do is catch a Pokemon instead of a battle? This really pushes forward the idea that the focus for this one seems to be catching and observing Pokemon instead of battling them. Yeah, I think that's a very good point. That is true. It's an interesting intro there.
I do think it was a little awkward that they made you catch all of them. Because at first I'm like, is this how I pick my starter? So I like just pick Cyndaquil. And then they're like, you got to catch the others. And I'm like, all right, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I went to Rowlet first.
Yet.
I went to Rowlet first just in case. Like in case he's like, all right, you're done.
Smart. Thomas Daranek writes in and says, in one of the tutorial-heavy sequences, you were told that you can theoretically bring up to 6 Pokemon with you when you go out on your adventures, but no one has been skilled enough to accomplish such a feat ever. What is the Pokemon Company doing? They had a perfect setup to come up with a cool lore reason as to why a 6 Pokemon party is considered as the standard, and instead they inserted a half-baked line to remind you the rules of the game. I think that is a great point. Like, if you're going to go back to the roots, to the old Pokemon tales, like, you got to do, this is like a prequel. You got to do that stupid Solo equivalent of explaining how Han Solo got his last name. Like, you need to come up with lore reasons for all these things. It's fun.
It could have been as stupid as, like, it's bad luck to carry 7 Pokemon.
Absolutely.
Like, this is the old days. I would have been like, yeah, okay. I mean, sure.
Arceus smote somebody with a lightning bolt who once carried 7 Pokeballs, or Pokemon, and then that was the end of it. Another robot, by the way, do you say smote? Is that past tense Smite?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, you said I thought you said smoked.
That's what I heard too.
That would have been cooler.
I don't know that.
Because that made sense with the lightning, like smoked.
Yeah.
Smote. Yeah, Bobby Darin invented the word smote in 1953. Another robot writes in and says, is anyone else reading Professor Laventon as a Southerner? No, I don't think so. He says old boy constantly, and I'm curious what he says if you're a woman in the game.
Does he do that to you?
Yeah,
because I think it's because I have a female character, but he's always calling me like my girl. So to me, he's British because he's always like, "Oh, what you doing, my girl?" And I'm like, Hello, sir. I have some Pokemon for you. Yeah,
that's another song you
Sarah,
can look up,
we have this
by the way,
British.
it literally sounds. It makes to me he seems British because he keeps saying "my girl," and I'm like, who else would say that?
That's interesting. My girl, I could see a Southerner saying "my girl." Absolutely.
Can I make a comment about him? I don't think Laventon is a tree. I tried looking it up.
What?
I don't think that's the name of a tree. Like, if you look up Laventon tree, it's like, do you mean trees in the place of Laventon? Which I forget where that is, like Canada or
That's
something.
what people were meant when they said that. I saw people tweet about that, and I'm like, what was he? Is he what? I was like, what's going on?
What?
Yeah, I don't think it's a
poser.
tree. I think, like, for no reason. Like, why break it now?
Also,
And what is a Laventon? Oh, is this supposed to be like Dr. Livington or whatever? Livingston?
Oh, I guess. Is he known for wearing a big, stupid, purple, cushy helmet?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No, but
It's an original
maybe.
invention.
He was fond of pom-poms, if I recall.
Help me with Pokemon lore, because he's like, hey, we're creating something called the Pokedex for the first time. Wasn't that Professor Oak's whole thing? Is he invented the Pokedex, then he needed you to fill it out? Is that?
Yeah,
I mean, clearly, you know, I'm sure the ancients invented a lot of things that we just forget about conveniently.
They call it the same thing, though?
That's true. To me, it looks like an Excel spreadsheet, and I can't get over the fact that my gameplay is just filling out a Pokemon Excel spreadsheet. Like,
I agree. It's a really fun game. Starkiller submits a question over there on Patreon. They say, so the fact that Professor mentions the, quote, ride Pokemon of Alola leads me to a theory. I'm pretty sure Hisui is the village situation of M. Night Shyamalan fame. We're really in modern times in another universe where Professor Layton has cut off communication to the outside world and is trying to plagiarize from Professor Oak. All these people should be way more freaked out when you show them your cell phone from God, and the fact that everyone is so scared of Pokemon leads me to believe that Hisui is just a cult of Pokemon fearmongers.
Honestly, this is the most plausible theory.
Yeah.
Yeah, way to go, Starkiller. That would truly moment of the year, story of the year, if it does end with an M. Night Shyamalan village-style ending, and everybody just tears down the professor for being a liar, because like a plane flies overhead. BeatenDownBrian says, if I was struck by lightning and someone tried to calm me down by throwing balls of food at me, I think it would just escalate the situation.
did anybody else?
That's how I want to be calmed down. Like, next time I'm mad, if you just want to throw me some of my favorite food.
What would we throw at you, Kelsey? What would we throw?
That's a good question.
Like noodles or something.
Noodles in a
Mine was
baggie?
spaghetti. And I don't think I want spaghetti thrown at me.
Well,
Even though I like
come up
it.
with a snack. What's a snack?
Like a
Would
tomato?
it be in ball form though?
Well, they're in like sacks. Like you throw a sack of chocolate at me or something.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
you got dignity. Old Lord Cleavor. Correct me, he's new, right?
Yeah.
Cleaver? Is he a relative of Scyther? Is this supposed to be like an evolution of Scyther? Is there no connection there? He just looks kind of like him?
I'm pretty sure he's a new evolution, but I haven't
Okay.
like figured that one out yet, and I'm trying not to just like look up.
Okay, same here.
I mean, maybe that's something that just goes in episode 2 of this after we've gotten a little further, but I assume he's like an evolution. Like, it would be weird if there's a couple Pokemon, like if there's Pokemon in this game that are a unique version of that Pokemon that you also are completely unable to catch.
Right.
Like, you know, here's this like strange Scyther-like thing, but there's only one of them, and also you can't have it.
Yeah. And
So
That feels wrong.
I did, even though Kelsey's like, I'm not going to Google it. I did. There's stuff on the Pokemon website about him that we could read. I don't think they're going to tell us anything in the game. Maybe they will.
Twitch chat is screaming that they are an evolution of Scyther. That's interesting. Yeah, because there were like Scythers nearby, so I assumed he wanted like his little children running around to try and
Yeah, it
protect
says,
them.
okay, so then it's out in the open. It says special minerals found in the Hisui region cause Scyther to evolve into this Pokemon. Parts of its body have hardened into stone. The stone parts often get chipped during fierce battles, and Cleaver that have survived many battles will display larger chipping across their bodies. However, the chipping actually makes these, who's writing this? Makes these stone parts
Indeed.
sharper, increasing their slicing power. It is said the people of Hisui once used pieces of stone that had fallen off of him to craft tools.
But
Well,
where do
yeah.
Is there only one, or can I catch them?
Well, it just says it's an
that'd be
evolution,
cool.
so there's Scythers nearby, so you just make one.
Yeah. Just whip up your own and then hope it gets struck by lightning.
I will say seeing that, And actually, I think I did see it briefly in, like we had the video go up promoting the thing and you had the spoiler warning of like, if you don't want to see it.
Right.
So I think I did kind of see it briefly, but I sort of forgot what it had looked like. And I was streaming this and everyone in my chat was like, I'm so excited to see this Pokemon. I've never been this excited to see Pokemon.
Fun.
And it was like a fun, like, it gave like Who's That Pokemon vibes. I think also because of the glow that then like sort of fades. Like,
Right.
I don't know. It's exciting.
Yeah, it was fun. And I did like, I like the lore detail. It's about as interesting maybe as we can get, but I like that idea of, the two people from the Diamond and Pearl clans being like, if he was struck by lightning from our god, maybe we shouldn't mess with them. Like, I like that little moral quandary of like, if he's kind of like a chosen one, then maybe we shouldn't try and take this beast down. Still, we're going to go ahead and attack
he's like putting people in the hospital. Like, maybe this was God's will.
Also, they said that like after it was over.
Yeah.
Like, I already did it. Also, before that, the woman that you fight, she's like, I don't like that you keep your Pokemon in Pokeballs.
I have issues with the Pearl Clan. Okay.
And then you fight her, and then she, like, literally right after, she's like, I guess it's fine. You abandon your whole moral compass from taking one L. It
looks really convenient to just keep them in the Pokeballs. Yeah, you don't have to feed them in there. It's ideal. What's your
also, where did her Pokemon come from? Like, she didn't throw it out of a Pokeball, but it also wasn't with her. Like, also, right before you're fighting. It, like, was not standing by her. She was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to get my Glaceon real quick. And then, like, where did it come from if not a Pokeball?
Everyone you fight so far, I mean, maybe some side stuff, because I'm not sure. I only did a little bit of the side stuff, so I'm not sure how many, like, people you fight, like Pokemon battles. But why everyone has this weird familial relationship with their Pokemon. Like the first person's like, Munchlax is like my brother. We were raised together. Right. And then that woman was like, this is like my cousin or something. Like,
she's like my sister. She's like, this. Yes. This is like my sister. And I was like,
yeah, what is with that?
Okay.
Yeah, it's how they related to Pokemon. They're much more connected to nature back in the day. But I do love that setup of like, I have been raised with this Munchlax. It is my sister. I've been with it my entire life fighting. It's been right by my side the whole time. It's like level 8. So I was like, okay. Well, nice work for a lifetime of failure, buddy. What problem do you have with Arita, old queen of space?
Me,
Sarah?
personally?
Yeah.
Well, the Pearl Clan is like, oh, like, we have all these Pokemon, like, running amok, but, like, we don't really want to do anything about it. And then the Diamond Clan is like, you should really do something about that. We can't do anything about that because we're the Diamond Clan. And then they come to the Galaxy team and they're like, can you do something about it because you're unaffiliated with our god? And we're like, okay. And then we go there and they're like, we actually don't want you to do anything unless you can beat me in a Pokemon battle. And then you do it and then you help the Cleaver. And then they're like, maybe you shouldn't have done that. Make up your minds.
Well, it's that like they want to be able to feel morally superior the entire time, but also they really needed your help. But they're gonna like neg you the whole time.
I have noticed.
I mean, everyone is so negative to you, like because you came from the sky for some reason. Yes. Like that is the most random reason to be mad at someone. Like if that happened here, we'd all be like, are you okay? Like, you came from the sky. This is insane.
Right.
You fell all that way, and, like, you don't know where you are. Like, this is a problem. We got to take care of you. But everyone here's like, we don't trust you because you're from the sky.
Right. You're going to get eaten alive, God boy. It's basically the nicest thing to say.
Also, you walk into town, and, like, I'm trying to, like, not be, profane here, because I know we don't really swear here, but I'm really tempted. Because people are out here, like, well, look at you dressed that way. Like, you went outside like that? Oh my God. And you literally, as you enter the town, all these text bubbles are, and it was funny because like the text bubbles are coming up. And again, I played alongside my family and my brother's like, oh, can I like see people's thoughts? And I'm like, I think they're just really loudly talking smack about you. And you can just hear them being like, what's with her? Like, oh, I don't know why you're wearing that t-shirt. I mean, not really appropriate, but whatever. Also, do you have any money
on it, by the way? And like the Pokeballs, like the future Pokeballs, nobody asked about that.
No.
Nobody was curious.
This is the most brutally capitalistic society I've ever seen in a Pokemon game. Literally,
here we go.
Every 10 seconds, I don't know if we have no food for freeloaders. Survival out here is a daily battle, and then literally at every point, they're just like, what have you done for me lately? They even the Beadoofs that you find, people are like, all right, well, we're going to have you earn your keep, Beadoofs, because we can use you. And I'm like, what is going on in this society?
Pull yourself up by your bootstraps, Beadoofs.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's crazy. I do like kind of the warring factions thing, and it's such a dopey thing to be like, time is better. No, space is better. For like, okay, this is a very Pokemon argument to have, sure. But it reminded me of that old the episode of the anime where they went to like a town, and I want to say it was like a Wild West town. It was like a Scyther and Electabuzz clan that were fighting. Does anybody else remember this? Then they have to like squirt ketchup on their...
Was that the original one?
That was, original as hell. Yeah. It was like, okay, I kind of like just like the warring factions element of Pokemon here, even if it's for a larger dopey reason.
The dialogue in it is so dumb. Like they're hamming up the space versus time thing so bad. Like the Diamond Clan will be like, I'm surprised you're on time because you don't respect time.
You need to give me some space, which by the way, I like. It's like, okay, I guess we all like space and time. Don't make me choose.
I'm like, and then they kiss. No, okay, anyway, but that's the vibes.
It's the vibes.
Some real tension over there. I'm like, do I need to be here for this? I don't know.
I like the fact that with the Cleavor fight, and I think there's another fight too, maybe it's just all the larger battles, I like that it's kind of like a soft aspect ratio change, where they kind of have like the letterbox come down, but you can still kind of see through it a little bit just to make it a little more cinematic. Like I thought that fight was really interesting, and this is, we haven't talked too much about the gameplay yet.
Embarrassed doing that fight.
Just throwing bags of food
just
at this
throwing
thing?
a hacky sack at a Pokemon until it got better. Like, I don't know.
Until it got better.
I miss like the normal Pokemon battles. I think it's cool that you can move around and you have to dodge. But at one point I was just like repeatedly throwing the hacky sacks.
Yeah.
And I just stopped battling it because it wasn't worth it.
It was more efficient just to keep chucking it.
Threw my hacky sacks of food and like dodged it until it stopped, and I was like, was that it? Is that what you needed me for?
Wait, do you not have to, like, you can just throw food at it till it dies?
You could have thrown food at it the entire time.
But what I liked about that is that I didn't, it's not even that I didn't necessarily know that. I guess in a way I didn't, but I was doing the normal thing of like, okay, you get it calm enough to fight it. And I went out there and like, I pulled up and I was like pretty under leveled because I was not the right level. I think I was like a couple levels down. And I'm like, all right, I'm just going to send some of y'all out here to die, and hopefully you do some damage along the way, and we'll see. I didn't have anything to revive anybody either. I wasn't healing anybody. I was just like out. I'm like, let's just give this a try. Like, we're live, we're here. Let's give it a go. And then I had no one on my team, but I'm like, well, it's not like it said game over. And I tried to like leave, but I couldn't get out. So I'm like, I'm just going to the death. We're just going to do this. And so I was just throwing this stuff. And I was like, oh my God, can I actually beat that? And even though I do agree that it's not quite as intriguing as, just doing a regular battle, I liked it for it just being different and weird and dumb. I'm like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever, I think, done in a Pokemon game. And I'm here for it, because this is a dumb way to cheese my way through this battle.
Yeah. And
I just love that you got stuck in like a Coliseum fight to the death. Because I think if you had died, they would have thrown you out. But I love that you were just in like this fight to the death, no Pokemon. Yeah. Only hacky sacks of food.
just
hiding behind
Pokemon
a tree.
That's like a descendant of God. Yeah. Who's really mad.
I like that every time you threw the food too, like you kind of sounded like Link. There's a little like, yeah. Like every time you threw the food, and it's like, oh, it's so weird to hear like a character from a Pokemon game actually say something. Even every time I hear my character breathe after sprinting for a while, it's like, what is that sound? It's like, oh, that's right. I'm a human being. That's such a rare new thing for Pokemon. Yeah, it's very odd. Danielle Van Pelt submitted a comment over on Patreon. And she says, the request, Big Buizel, Little Buizel, was the death of me. I caught 35 Buizels before finally finding one that was over 2'8".
I think you need an alpha. Like, I don't think you literally need an alpha, but like, so, okay. The stopping point is when you beat the boss, right? So I can't talk about anything that happens like immediately after that.
Right. I didn't even run back to my camp. Yeah, I guess not.
Okay. All right. Darn. Okay. Well, you can get, if you get an alpha Buizel, like that's just what I had to do. And yeah, I did the same thing. I had like 30. But I just kept being like, making the guy check, and he's like, nope, they're all really short.
These Weasels suck. I got
Here's
really
my
lucky.
question is like, why is something being shorter than his Weasel not also proving his point that Pokemon are different size? That's the whole point, is like, prove to me that Pokemon are different sizes. And he's like, that one's too small. And it's like,
it's
sir.
Large or nothing, I guess, is all he cares about. But like I must have lucked out. The first Weasel I had in my inventory. I was like, here, this one. He's like, this is great. And everyone chats like, how the hell did you do this?
Really?
Yeah, just complete luck of the draw, I guess. I have no idea.
Wow.
That was
You
weird.
must be the chosen one.
I don't want to brag,
God's
but
favorite.
I might be the chosen one. I also had a miraculous moment with the Gyarados. Have you all seen the Gyarados flying around?
I caught that same Gyarados the same way.
Did you really? Because
Yeah.
Twitch chat was making me feel truly like
They were really hyping you up. So
Yeah.
I went to that very spot to see how hard it was.
yeah.
You could just
Caught
as long
it?
as you,
You
use
both
a
caught
fly,
it?
as long as you
Yeah.
use a fly ball and you track its movements, it's easy. You were probably using a real Pokeball, but like
I was
use a fly
real
the
Pokeball
fly ball,
first.
it's easy.
First time I hit it with the Pokeball, so
God's favorite, Ben
it's
Hansen.
got to be pleased with
What
this.
is
God's
with
favorite.
your luck in this game?
I've
guess
had a
that's
lucky run.
For never seeing a shiny, you just get.
It's because we're playing on these Animal Crossing switches. That's the difference.
You
That's
gotta
it.
go all natural with
Gotta
the
be
gray
it.
one. Jeremy L asks, did anyone else see the giant flying Gyarados around near the waterfall in the Obsidian Fieldlands? If they did they figure out how to catch it? I spent like half an hour standing on top of a mountain chucking Pokeballs at it, and I got nothing. So Jeremy L says
I like
I'm
the
chosen one.
sparkle. The little fireworks that come out of the.
Oh, isn't
top
that
of it.
fun? Isn't
yeah.
that fun? I mean, that was like, there's so many moments in here where it's easy to use a shorthand of like a real Breath of the Wild moment, just meaning like it was an awe-inspiring moment and a good moment in a game. But I really had one of those moments seeing Gyarados for the first time. It felt like seeing a dragon in Breath of the Wild. I was like, what? Oh my God. I didn't even consider the idea that just could be a Gyarados flying around. Sarah, you telling me your heart didn't melt seeing that out there?
I mean, I forgot that Gyarados could fly. To me, Gyarados has always been a water Pokemon. So the
Right,
idea
right.
of seeing like a Gyarados like flying around in a circle
So
was
is this
very
a glitch?
interesting. But like my thing is like I caught that Gyarados and I brought it back to the professor and he acts like I just brought him another Bidoof. And I'm like, sir, this is a Gyarados. Like, can I get a little hype? Can I get a little like congratulations? Like I feel like Gyarados should be worth more points.
Yeah, he's really.
than Bidoof?
He's more interested in the motion that your arm made throwing the Pokeball to catch the Gyarados than the Gyarados itself. He's a very good professor, very smart.
I don't think he even says anything about when you catch a shiny Pokemon, which is a bummer. It's like,
Nope.
Look, this one's a different color, dude. Like, that's crazy, right? He doesn't care.
I don't care. It's fun to have a Pokemon that's out of my league. Like I can't control Gyarados yet. It's like I just like having this level 29, level 24. I forget what it was exactly, but it's just fun to have like this crazy beast. And again, just going back to the anime, like it feels like I have Charizard in my team way too early. You know, it's fun Pokemon stuff, y'all. Sunny D22 writes in and says the side story about the kid with the Drifloon is dark and funny, knowing that Drifloon abducts children after they hold onto its strings, and the kid is so insistent that people don't understand Drifloon. Yeah, that thing was trying to kill that kid, right?
I mean, maybe. Right? Maybe.
Well, this game is retconning a bunch of Pokemon stuff that we knew to be true in other games. So maybe not in this game. Maybe they don't kill children in the past. I don't know.
Wait, really? What other retcons you got?
Well, just like Pokemon shrinking to fit
sure.
into Pokeball. Like that, just, they're just saying like, they're making stuff up here.
Yeah. There's a certain moment in that quest where the kid says, I want to go home, but the Drifloon won't let me go. She's like holding onto him behind the shack. I think
I thought you were going to have a Poke Battle with the Drifloon to get it to go away. And then you just show up, the screen goes black, and the Drifloon like floats away. So I don't know what you told that Drifloon. Because like I'm really enjoying the side quests. I think they offer a lot, and they do pick up on a lot of that obscure Pokemon lore, like Drifloon abducting children. But then it's like, visually it plays out, and usually it's a lot of like fade to black
right
situations, which is what the Pokemon games always have been. But you're like, but wait, we could do so much more. I could fight it.
Right. Yeah, it is a little simplistic. Even like catching the Bidoofs, it's like, okay, and now fade to black, and then they're going to be working for us now. But how about that Geodude that they need to help make pickles? That's pretty cool, right?
Yeah, to keep the only Geodude I had was the shiny Geodude.
Oh no.
And I was like, do I just hand it over?
Would the Geodude in her house like continue to be shiny?
I don't know.
Then you have like
afraid
a
to give it to
permanently
her.
placed shiny Geodude. That's like actually kind of cool.
That would
Maybe
be
I'll
cool.
save
A little
it, try
compelling.
it.
Yeah. Speaking of in the house, I really want to catch an Abra. I really want that Captain
Those
Silene's
little-
Abra. Wait.
Stinkers.
Are they in the world in the first area?
Oh, Abras? Yeah.
What? I have not seen
They're
one yet.
really hard to catch. They teleport away immediately.
Oh, that sounds
You
so
gotta be
fun.
super sneaky.
Okay, so that's just like, okay, kind of trying to confirm how amazing Captain Silene is, because she's able to catch the super
When you get to the
sneaky
Geodude mountain, instead of going up the mountain, go left around it.
Okay.
There's also some over by where the terrifying, like past the terrifying Snorlax. If you run all the way past him, there's some there too.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, it is just the thrill of seeing, yeah, you're totally right, Sarah. Like seeing Geodudes, I got so excited. And I was thinking like, when is the last time I was this excited about catching a Pokemon or just discovering new Pokemon? Then I realized like, it was Pokemon Go. Like, I think this is the best Pokemon game since Pokemon Go. And I've cooled in a big way from that game, but it has that same vibe. Like, oh my God, I'm seeing this thing that I've seen 6,000 times, but in a new way. And it's so refreshing.
For me, it was like, I was racing through a cave and I wasn't expecting to find anything. And all of a sudden I rounded a corner and there was like a Happiny just there. And I like choked and I immediately skidded to a stop and I was like, and then I had to get off and like try to catch it immediately. But it's like those moments are what makes the game great. Like when you turn a corner and there's like a Pichu or like a Pikachu, like that's what makes this game great. That is like
Even
the
the
pinnacle
Eevee,
of what it is.
Even though like the one Eevee that's in that first area.
There's an Eevee?
Yeah, it's near the Ponyta.
Do you guys all know where this Eevee is?
I haven't seen an Eevee or a Ponyta.
Oh man, I'm too busy picking up the
You haven't
satchels for
seen a
people.
Ponyta? They're like, there's like a
I saw
whole
that
field
giant
of them.
one. That was scary. That's the only one I saw.
Rapidash?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know how to
well,
control the camera, so I'm just looking down at the
just, like,
ground.
Just like go left. I don't know. Like there's just a whole
left.
field of them.
Of course.
I'm
There's a
sure.
whole field of them?
I'm sure I'll see
Ponyta?
it
Yeah.
at some point.
Oh.
Well, we'll have to probably because to finish it.
Yeah.
The Eevee is like between where the Ponyta and the Bidoof meet, and there's like one that spawns. And yeah, that's. I mean, I've got like most of the evolutions now, actually. Just from, like,
On
going
the
back
Eevee part 2, it's cool that like since there's manual evolutions, it does make evolving like the Pokemon that have very specific like characteristics. Like with Eevee, it's like, oh, this one needs to be at this friendship level, and then it evolves. You don't have to like babysit the evolution as much or like spam the like let's stop it from evolving because it's not this thing because it's all manually like inputted.
That is, number 17 on the list of just like amazing quality of life improvements. Yeah, Joshua wrote in about that. It's just such a nice thing to be like, okay, you pop the evolution whenever you want here. Let's see, who was it that wrote in about that exciting stuff about catching Pokemon? Oh, Derek Maldonado writes in and says, I snuck up on a giant Scyther, threw a cake at its feet, snuck around its back, and popped it in the head with a great ball, catching it. Phenomenal experience. But it's 20 levels higher than the rest of my Pokemon and refuses to listen to me. Yeah, that's the fun of the game. That's good living.
Yeah.
Luther Shell writes in and says, one of the best feelings I've had in this game is sneaking up on a high ledge above an unsuspecting Pokemon and timing my throw perfectly to catch it. The first time this happened with a Staravia, I was amazed I was able to actually capture it. Yeah, it's just like those little amazing moments in this game. My first one was climbing up on a little cliff too and like looking down at a Pokemon, like, can I actually just sneak up on it this way and chuck a ball at it? This shouldn't be a religious experience, but we've been waiting for so long for this and it's just amazing.
Are you guys using a lot of the throwables that aren't Pokeballs? Like, are you using... Because they give you a lot of tools.
Yeah,
I use like the berries if I need to like distract a Pokemon so I can sneak behind it, but I haven't used like the stun stuff. You can stun Pokemon, I haven't like checked that yet.
I've used
And also,
nothing.
like-
I don't know what to do with all my stuff.
They have in the Pokedex, it'll be like, this is their favorite thing. And I don't know if that like does more or does something different. Because I've never been like, okay, this is a Murkrow. What is Murkrow like? Let me throw that at him. Like, I haven't played around with any of that.
Because my thing was like, well, if I already caught it to know what it likes, why would I catch it again? But I mean, I guess if it did something different. I know this game really encourages you to like catch Pokemon a lot. And like, I just haven't quite gotten into that because I've never been like a Pokedex person, like a big Pokedex fulfiller. I'm like a one and done person. So I'm really struggling through the ranking. Like catch 25 Bidoof, catch like I'm struggling. Like see a Buizel do Aqua Jet. I'm struggling.
Yeah,
it counts if it's your own Pokemon, by the way.
I had to do that. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's just what
nice.
I've been doing. Because I'm like, I forgot what the first one of those was like. It was the one that, oh God, I don't know. He's orange. I don't know his name. Yeah.
Is it the Weasel? Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Oh, yay. Okay. But it was like one of his water moves, and I fought him, and I'm like, he just keeps slapping me. He's not doing shoot me with the water, and I'm like,
I catch him and he doesn't even know it. And then I caught one because I was like, why aren't they using Aqua Gen? He didn't even know it.
Oh, he always has a reason.
Because I'm like, he must not have known this move yet. But then I went to go fight with him, and he knew it. I'm like, he could have done this the whole time. Anyway, but yeah.
Hey, there's more comments here. Joshua Caleb submitted a comment over on Patreon and said, is this the first Pokemon game where you hide in tall grass and jump out at Pokemon? How the turns have tabled, Joshua says. Also, something I was not expecting, this game has the exact same stealth and dodge mechanics as Horizon Zero Dawn. It's a very interesting comparison. It would be especially weird if we were playing this game back to back with Forbidden West, hypothetically. Yeah, I love that idea.
It's so weird how much I hate stealth games, but I really enjoy the stealth in this game. Like sneaking up behind Pokemon and like nailing them in the back of the head with a Pokeball is like just it's so satisfying. It is the most satisfying thing.
Yeah. I like too that there's like a higher chance of catching them when you do that, because the first time I did that, I just happened to like the Beedrift was just turned around. So I was like, I'm gonna throw the Pokeball at its butt. And then the game was like, throwing it at the butt is good. And I'm like, cool. All right. Well, that's what we're going to do now.
Yeah. The idea of just catching a bunch of Pokemon, it reminds me of Pokemon Go in that negative way. Like I'm with you, Sarah. Like I enjoy catching one and just being done. Like I got my Bidoof. I'm locked in the rest of the game. But I feel like the problem with Pokemon Go is it kind of devalues the bond you have with the Pokemon. And I worry about this game kind of inching in that territory as well. It's like, isn't it amazing? You can catch an Eevee. Now, if you catch 16 more, it's worth even more. It's like that goes against everything I imagine Pokemon to be. But the nice thing is, like, you know, with the Pokedex, at least you have options and you can do other things to fulfill your mission quest instead of just loading up the pasture with overflowing amounts of turd Pokemon out there. Let's see. Old Scotland submits a comment and says, I love how smooth the transition from exploring to battling is. You just throw out your Pokeball and it seamlessly starts the fight. A little thing, but it keeps the flow going nicely. Absolutely. That is huge. It's wonderful.
I love just how mobile you are in this game. Like, just, I mean, I'll be like on the wire deer, like throwing a Pokeball or throwing a Pokemon like at some rocks to farm, and like I'm already like halfway over there. Like I'm just continuing to run and go and like up and down. It's really, you just kind of get in and out of things really quick, and I really like that. Yeah,
it's such a weird moment the first time when you realize like, oh, I can walk around this battle. And I loved like standing in between the Pokemon at a certain point.
And getting hit.
Then getting hit by the moves. Like, oh my God, this is so cool. I love that.
Did anyone else try to protect their starter in the first battle?
I tried to stand. I tried to, because the first battle you have is like the Togepi. And I was like, what if I just ran over and kicked it? And then it like knocked me over, knocked me on my butt.
Yeah, if the Pokemon I'm fighting is too good and it's kicking my ass, then I'll just go position myself behind the opposing Pokemon to make it look like it's mine. Like, I'm on this one side now. Have at it. Please take out my Oshawott.
I'm really mean, and like I've had some, because you can like focus in on the Pokemon before you like engage with them, whether you're catching or battling them, to see their level. But it's a little, you have to be like close enough for that like focus to work. So there were times where I'm like, I don't really know, and I don't want to try to get closer. I'm just going to go for it. And I'm like, oh, just kidding. You're like level 30 and I'm level 3. And I'm like, well, how do I get out of here? And I don't know, is there like a run I could, I just leave. I just walk away. And what the Pokemon figures it out. I'm like, you're gonna just pass out or whatever. You're on your last leg. I'm not gonna be engaged in this. And I just keep running. I leave them there. I just leave them.
So you can move out of range of battle, but there also is just a run.
Yeah, what's the difference?
I don't know, because I was doing a battle and then I accidentally stepped back off a cliff, and I like fell into an abyss, and it was like, you have left the battle. I'm like, oh, really?
You have left Earth. Yeah, the idea that there's fall damage in this game, I was not expecting, especially when I'm riding around on my weird deer. I'm like, let's go nuts, weird deer.
Did you hear that we fell off at the same exact location on our weird deers, and we both died in the same spot?
Look, you can't contain us. We need freedom. Half Tip writes in and says, just a little something that blew away my inner 9-year-old self. I was hunting a cocoon. That's not a Pokemon, right? Cascoon. Thank you. And there was a Psyduck not that far off. I engaged the Cascoon in a battle, hoping to make it weak enough to catch it, the usual Pokemon flow, when all of a sudden that Psyduck jumps into the battle as well and attacks my poor little Rowlet from behind and one-shots him. That's amazing. The idea, of course, they should team up against your Pokemon. There's a bunch of wild Pokemon out there. But the first time that happens, like, oh my God, this is something new in Pokemon. It's finally happening.
My only criticism is that you can't, it doesn't seem like you can change the Pokemon you're targeting. Like, it's like you just got to get through this. Oh, you can?
You think you can, but it's like, it's hard. If you're trying to catch the Pokemon, I couldn't figure out how to target one with a Pokeball. But if you're trying to hit one, you have to like do like the ZL target thing. It's like, yeah, it's like ZL. But that whole
no,
like,
when you're in battle, you can.
Yeah, when you're in battle and it's like you versus 3, you can like ZL target. But
Okay,
that's the thing is like there's a lot in this
for.
game that they don't tell you. There's a lot of menuing. There's a lot of buttoning. There's a lot of like button combos that we've never had in Pokemon before.
Right.
That like confuse even me. So yeah.
Luke Strain.
One thing I didn't.
Oh, go ahead.
One thing I didn't know, like on my own, like Chad had to tell me, is when I was like first, they tell you about like throwing your Pokemon at like the trees to get like berries and stuff. But when I saw like the stones in the ground, I'm like, what do I do with these? I walked up, nothing happened. And then someone's like, oh, you can also throw your Pokemon at that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, cool. I kind of needed to know. Is what blows me about that, and I don't even mind. I have no problem with like things not being explicitly told to you and you discovering them or figuring them out or even talking to people. I think that has its place in gaming. But I feel like, how did you tutorialize for like 2 hours and you still didn't tell me all the information? I feel like you got to pick one. Like, you cannot like take forever to release me and then I still don't have all the information. I think too, like with the like tutorialization is always big in Pokemon, and it's always going to be big in Pokemon because that's the ethos that the team has. They're like, we want this to be good, to be everyone's first Pokemon. We don't care if it's your 8th. I don't mind that. I just feel like there's so much story in the beginning. Like, it took so long to like actually get to play. It's not even that I mind you showing me how to do this stuff. Like, it's just, it was a lot of like front loading before. Like, I did like an hour before I streamed, and like at first I'm like, oh, maybe I shouldn't, you know, I kind of want to play early because I kind of want everyone to see the whole thing.
Yeah.
And my family's like, honestly, well, first of all, no one cares that deep about it. It's fine. Second of all, you're probably just going to do the boring stuff. And that's basically it. Like, when I got to stream, I'm like, all I did was nothing. So welcome to the actual game.
Yeah, I think it's worth it, though. Like, I like having those moments of discovery of having like, okay, I can actually mine these stones and there's a Geodude popping out of a gem. And it still blows my mind that you get experience for just like, yeah, okay, I'll throw my Gyarados against a tree and some berries will fall off it and everybody will experience from that. It's just amazing. On the confusing button thing, Luke Strain wrote in and said, why did this game have 3 menu buttons, but none of them are the plus button? Yeah, well, they got to leave room for weirder eventually, but that is a little bit confusing. Another thing that I don't think they've explained yet, Tactical Dreamer wrote in about saying, I really like what they've done with status conditions. Sleep has been replaced with drowsy, which only sometimes takes away a turn. Confusion and freeze have been completely removed. Most importantly, all status conditions last a set number of turns, which you can track on the status screen in battle, and they all disappear after a battle.
It's so different, but I really like it in this game. Like, obviously, you know, same kind of thing as we were saying earlier about the competitive stuff. It's like, this would totally break in a competitive setting, but like for the purposes of this game, for the way that they do this game, like, you're not going to want to, you get out of battle and you're like, someone's still poisoned. Like, do I have a berry for that? You know, like, it's just, you're trying to explore and like not have to micromanage that kind of stuff. So I really like that for this game.
Yeah. And I remember the at Game Freak, I think they said like a WoW was really into the competitive aspect of Pokemon games as well. So it's interesting that when he's the director for his first big mainline Pokemon series, it's like, and then kind of turning your back on the competitive scene a little bit. But it's totally worth it just to free them to do these moves. And
actually, to go a little deeper on that too, they have the easiest and best implementation of EVs yet in this game. Do any of you guys do that, like EV, IV?
I don't.
So I mean, the short explanation is like a Pokemon has a set effort value, which is usually determined by their nature, and it's just kind of like a random thing, and it'll be like, okay, well, you are going to be stronger in attack and weaker in special defense. So, you know, you're better than average at this and worse than average at this. And instead of like having to breed for that or find a good one or anything like that, you can just there's an item in the game that you just use to increase those effort values. And again, for a game that's not competitive, like, that's just a game changer. Like, there's no reason to have to, I don't want to go through all of that. But it's cool to be like, yeah, I can build the strongest. Like, oh, I caught a bad Eevee. That's okay. I can like still build it to be the best Eevee ever because I really like it. And, you know, I caught that shiny Psyduck and I was like, well, he sucks, but it doesn't matter because I can fix him. He's not gonna like suck anymore.
I can fix him.
Classic
with
mistake.
a bunch of like gravel and pebbles and dirt.
He's like my brother, but I'll fix him. Smiley14 is totally with you. They wrote it about the effort values and all that stuff. Hugo H2P wrote in and says, hey there, creature catching cohorts. I'm loving the game so far. A game changer I haven't seen people talking about that much is how Pokemon moves are now essentially equipable spells.
I was going to say that.
Oh my God.
That's also really cool. Although I didn't realize you have to put the move in and then hit confirm.
Same.
I swear I'm putting this move in. I swear. And then it's like you actually have to swap the move in and then you have to hit X to confirm it. I'm like, we didn't need that. But yeah, I was like, why isn't my move going in? It took me way too long to realize that. It's kind of embarrassing, but.
No, that's fine. You're welcome. I am just so thankful that, again, after all these years, we've got away from that. Are you sure you want to forget this move? Like, just that menu that I think
like
on
the 3, 2, 1 poof?
I hate it. On my
3,
deathbed,
2,
it's just going to be a montage of, are you sure you want to forget this and swap this? Are you sure you don't want to not learn this move? What do you want from me? Just, there's so many easier ways to do it. And the idea that this is just so clean, just put new moves in there, go talk to this person, buy new moves. It's amazing.
Keep it.
Yes.
I'm getting a little worried that like they're going to treat this Pokemon Arceus as an outlier. And we're not going to keep this stuff going forward in the 3D mainline Pokemon games.
Yeah, I feel...
There's some stuff that they can lose, but like some of this stuff, like being able to turn in a Pokemon for a quest when it's in your pasture, it doesn't have to be in your party. That's huge for me.
Yes.
Like, show me a Wurmple, and I'm like, oh, it's in the pasture, it's on my party. And I can show them the Wurmple from the pasture.
Right, yeah.
Like, that's huge
Or just send stuff to your item box if you're like, if they're like, instead of it being like, oh, your pockets are full, I can't give you a reward, come back later. It's like, it's in the box now. It's fine.
Yeah, and
They're such basic things, but
I mean, we
I'm
have
so
to take
glad
it.
they're here.
Yeah, we have to be excited about it. And like, I think that's kind of the beauty of making this kind of a weird, still mainline entry. I know there's a lot of debate about it online, but still a mainline entry. But like, it's the Legends branch, the Legends variant. So if people hated it and they're outraged, then we can quickly course correct. But hopefully they're getting the feedback that like, yes, Game Freak, go further, more convenience, please let the past go.
I think for the most part, I feel like, and I haven't played like every mainline Pokemon game, but I feel like usually when they add quality of life stuff, they keep it. I do feel like there was something I liked in Alpha Sapphire they don't have anymore, but I can't remember what that is. So I think on the whole, they usually mostly maintain that. I will say I'm not sure what. It's weird because like I guess like the most weird part of this game is, and I don't know what the future of this like game has because I only played like that first little chunk, but the super weird thing is like the boss battle thing. So I'm wondering, is that the only thing they consider to be weird? Because like if you think of again Sun and Moon, like we don't do trials anymore, but a lot of the other like things, I don't know if that's when rideable Pokemon were introduced, but like other things from Sun and Moon stayed. But like we don't do the trials, and I guess we don't dance anymore. So I feel like, what is this game's trials and dancing that they're like, that was just that time, and we're not going to continue that.
Right.
I'd be surprised if they just continued to make, like, if this was just it, and they're like, okay, old formula's gone, and you're going to be able to sneak around and throw Pokeballs from the grass, and like, I would be surprised if it just stayed like this. I mean, I
really?
like this a lot, but do you think this is like mainline Pokemon going forward?
I think so. If you take this formula and evolve it and then combine it with like the old gym formula. Evolve it?
That's why you're the chosen one, the God's favorite.
Please. Just the internet calls me God's favorite. I think it's doable. I mean, especially with this reception, but it's interesting, Kelsey. I think they would get so many complaints if they went back to a more standard formula, unless it was like a remake.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know. It's an interesting thing to think about, because I do think that this format makes, like, it completely scraps everything that's been going in the competitive meta. Like, you're starting over completely, and that's a pretty big part of it. And I think, I mean, you might be able to just kind of combine parts of the two and still salvage, like, most of the competitive meta, but I mean, you don't have, like, Pokemon don't hold items anymore. Like, even just that alone is like such a huge change.
What we need is and people, we're already kind of talking about it, right? Where it's like, this is mainline, but like, is it? Wink, wink. I don't know what's going on, Pokemon Company. You won't tell me anything. And I bet even if you let me ask you, you still wouldn't tell me, but I like the option to ask. You gotta let me ask the question
That's right.
that I'm not gonna get to write anything about. But I would love to see Pokemon become what Forza is. We got Motorsport and we got Horizon.
Yes.
There should just be like a deviation, like some kind of weird hardcore deviation from like their Motorsport would be highly in the competitive scene, and then get weird and just make your weird storylines and art in like the casual, you know, have the follower Pokemon, like the other stuff that we know and love, until you mash that into something that people are into. But I do think a lot of folks it's the classic Pokemon conundrum of, I want it to be different, but like, ooh, not in that way. Or like, oh, but still the same somehow. So I do think a lot of people will miss the gyms and want that again. So it's like, how do you iterate while catering to a fan base, while also having a really short development cycle, while also having, I don't know, whatever you actually want to make. I don't really know what
Tembo
what
the
makes
Badass
the
Elephant
developers
too.
excited. What do they want to see from it? Like, these are things that we don't have full insight into. And I'm just so curious to know, like, what is there, what's going on over there? Is it just like freestyling stuff and seeing what sticks? Like,
I think
is there a bigger reason?
Yeah, I mean, you ask, how do they do that? I think this is what they do, is they release an entry and it's like, it's mainline if you want it to be, or maybe it's not. We're ready to throw it away if you don't like it. But I think it's like the perfect test case for all this stuff. Logan Hess has more insight, saying, my favorite thing so far is probably being able to change which party member to throw at a wild Pokemon on the fly. It's so nice to pick an advantageous matchup without having to go into the menu. Absolutely. Yeah. Just the first time I just threw my Pokemon out into the field, it's like, oh, what a godsend. And then throwing more and more and have them all hang out with each other. It's like, yes, this Game Freak, this is what we've been screaming about for all these years. So
Which
good.
is ironically a better photo mode than the actual photo mode.
right.
Are we like ready to talk about Sears yet? Because the JCPenney Pokemon photo mode,
How dare you?
It is one of the worst things about the game, and yet I will be using it periodically because I love my Pokemon, and that's what it all boils down to. Like, I will put up with a lot for a little bit of time with my Pokemon, and God, the pain. Talk about menus.
Yes,
first
going
you unlock
through all
it,
those.
then you walk up to the person. What background do you want? I know what you're thinking. We're gonna have some cool environment. Nope, just colors.
It's just colors, and you gotta like
colors.
You get like 4 at a time. You don't even see like a full list. There's no preview. Like, it is
the fact that
genuinely
for a second.
It is genuinely the worst photo mode I've ever seen in a game. Like, and then seriously, it's just like infinite menus, and all of the menus are terrible at conveying what they're actually trying to show you. There's no previews. For some reason, you only get a couple options at a time. I mean, it's so bad.
It's bad.
It's like the worst thing to have. It's so bad.
It's the worst thing.
It's like a classic example of, what if we had a really good idea and then just executed as poorly as we could? It almost feels like someone did. Obviously, this is not what I actually think happened in the development offices or whatever. But it's like, we want this here. Like, I don't want to make this. Well, you need to. Fine, I'm going to make it as badly as I can, so you never make me make it again. It's like, look, if you didn't want to make it, you could have just said no.
Right,
I don't know if someone put you up to this and it's like when people pretend to be bad at something because they don't want to do it. Like, what happened? And then it has like that little in-between load. Drives me crazy. The Switch is not exactly a beacon of the power of hardware, but having just come off of Pokemon Snap, which is a game I also do not like at all, but at least you can, I know you know what a camera is. Like, I don't understand. And sure, it's a long time ago, but like, it's mind-boggling. But I will still be taking my badly posed. I'll sit on the bench with my Drifloon next to me, and my mask on that I got in my mystery gift box, and I'm going to post those on Twitter.com because that's what I'm here to do. Because I love my animals, but horrible mode.
Rory
on the same note, the barber is just as bad. Yeah. I assumed that when I gained more stars and was like a bit, higher rank, you get more clothes. I was like, oh, I'll unlock more haircuts too. But no, I just donated $500 to the haircut person so that
that old lady's a scammer. Yeah. It's like, imagine having to pay like $500 to get a haircut and then you left without getting anything done.
Yeah. Wait, what happens? Because
you pay up front. you pay up front, and if you don't pick a haircut, it's too bad.
And you don't.
Would you unlock more haircuts though?
Not so far, and I'm like, well, I'm afraid to try again, but like,
yeah,
because I already tried once when I like had leveled up a couple times. I was like, I bet there's more haircuts, hee hee, and there's not. So,
speaking of scammers, the woman by the wishing well. Can we talk about how she's like out here, like with the? And I'm sure the charm buffs really do work, but she's like, you got to drop $3 or $5 grand or however
I paid
much
money for that. You're telling me it's not going to work?
I mean, they probably do work, right? But like, I don't know. She's asking for a lot of money, and then I hear that inventory guy. He's charging up to
that
like
inventory guy is an MLM pyramid scheme. The highest
yeah, Bagan, whatever his name is. Yeah, Matthew Weatherly wrote in about him. He says, "What do you think the storage expand NPC spends all his money on? Why is he still working at Team Galaxy? Does he pay taxes? What's going on?"
He's probably the wealthiest man in the town.
Yeah, he's the master packer.
Just let me like buy them not one at a time.
Yes,
like, just show me. Say you can unlock up to 30 or whatever, and it's going to cost you this much for the first one, this much for the second one, whatever. Just show me that, and let me be like, yeah, I want to add 10 slots, and that'll cost me $5 million. Okay, fine. Like, let me do that.
You got to have these touches of inconvenience just for that nostalgia of old Pokemon games, you know? Rory Sublet wrote in over on Patreon. He says, "Hello, Pokemon Maxers. So after all this setup that most average people are scared of Pokemon, the photographer in the town says his whole business is taking pictures of people with their Pokemon. Business must be booming, bro." Hey, come on, don't judge the man.
You do get a quest about that.
Oh, to help
There's
him?
a side quest that's like, people don't really like Pokemon. I need to advertise this better.
Oh, okay, that's smart. I love that they actually touch on that. I love that with the side quests. It tells you what the reward's going to be. Like, I kind of like doing them because I like the little stories and stuff, but that's such a nice little convenient thing. Although it's kind of annoying, you can only track one at a time.
I didn't know how to do that. Someone had to like walk me through it.
Yeah.
Because you have to go back in, you have to find the quest that you want, and then you have to select it for tracking, or else you will not know where the person went.
You run away.
It really is strange to me. I know we've already talked about this, but it's so strange to me that they spend so much time on like the basics and then like a bunch of things that feel like, even if it's just like, hey, there's more information you can read here, like here's all of the, like there's just none of that. Have
the school, the Poke School, whatever. It's like, hey, here's just a place where we'll explain all of these different aspects for you. Just make it another building in town.
And then what's weird is that like they don't prompt you to talk to the lady by the wishing well or the lady by the shrine. They don't prompt you to talk to the people at the farm, I think, or maybe there's a quest there, but it's like there's a lot of little people that you need to talk to. That in old Pokemon games, you didn't have to talk to anybody. Okay, nobody had anything worth your time.
Right.
And now it's like you should try to talk to everybody because you're good. Who knows what they're up to?
Yeah, I didn't figure out the farm till like 8 hours in.
Mm-hmm.
You guys know there's a farm where they can just like make apricorns and stuff for you, so you don't have to.
Oh yeah, like I like invest in. That was like one of my early. Again, I was looking to spend all my money out the gate. I'm like, I'm buying the most expensive pants I can afford. I'm cutting my hair. I'm taking off the bandana. I know some people think it's cute, but like I'm just like, we're just going just totally different. And I'm like, yeah, 500 for like I'm planning some type of thing. Do I need to do this? I don't know. It's just what I feel like I'm doing at the time. So, but yeah, it is. I like how much, and I don't know if I'm going to get like sick of it or if it's going to like lose its like whimsy because it's a pretty small town, but it's fun feeling like at home in a place, which is ironic because this is not my home. I got dropped from the sky, but it's like, okay, I can really get to know this town and like people may react differently to me over time. And I'm like, I got my potato mochi and I'm, buying my new pants and, it's like, okay, this is a whole little area that I have. And I don't know, it's nice to have like a little bit more of a home base, I guess, in some ways.
Yeah. And it looks like it's going to grow. I'm sure it does.
Hope so.
But we haven't gone far enough in the game for them to start. But there's scaffolding, there's wood everywhere.
If it doesn't, I'll be really disappointed. Yeah, for sure. Because right now, the town, the layout's a little bit basic. It looks like a town I made in Dark Cloud. It's just kind of like, here's a square, there's one river straight going through it. Like, I wish it had a little more personality overall.
I don't like that my house isn't, and I get that like I'm not special, like everyone hates me, but it's hard. It was hard for me to know where my house was, and there's no mini map when you're in the town. Yeah. So like I literally have to I have it pulled up now to remember how frustrated I was trying to find. I'm like, I just want to go to my house and I don't know where I live. can someone help me? Like, I don't know. Yeah, so like little things like that I wish were done a little bit differently. Like there is a waypointing system, and that's like what I did once when I was far away, where I'm like, let me just select my house and then I'll get there that way. But little stuff like that feels like it should not be that way.
Yeah. Nick from Atlanta submitted a comment over on Patreon saying, like Sword and Shield, the interiors of all the homes in Jubilife City are exactly the same. To quote recent Hansen, quote, I'm not saying lazy devs. Apparently I was talking about that with Sword and Shield. I think it works here. Galaxy is an expeditionary force. We're reading. And we can see more homes are being made. As an unrelated small note, Alt plus 130 is the Pokemon E to type that out. Nick, thank you for your insight. I've just been copying and pasting. Every time I have to write Pokemon Legends
Arceus. That took me a
Arceus.
second to understand what he was saying.
I know, it's complicated.
Like Pokemon E. I was thinking like, the way it's written in like unknowns or something.
Okay.
I was like,
I was thinking of unknown as well.
Yeah.
Wait, what was it again? 13. Oh crap! I deleted the comment. It's too late. Alt plus 130. 130. It's not working for me. I'll just continue copying and pasting and Googling Pokemon over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. Let's see. We have more thoughts on the town. Oh, Corey Beard says, gotta say, really liking the main town. Kind of wish there was some kind of hot spring in it, though. I feel like it would totally fit the aesthetic. And it could heal your Pokemon. There's a lot of possibilities.
Your Pokemon
Maybe
are
that'll be in the
automatically
map.
healed when you go back to town, which is another really good
Ooh, really?
just
Oh, that's
mini
nice.
quality of life change. But I actually would have been fine if they had not done that and put in a tiny hot spring and you had to like walk in it. I think that would have been kind of cute.
Yeah.
Good
see what
photo
Pokemon-
op too.
Yeah, finally Oshawott can splish splash around in a bath. That'd be awesome. Charizard.
As Pokemon God intended.
That's right. Charizard has a comment saying, why does Booney have a grass blade as a mustache?
Oh, Benny.
Yeah, whatever his name is. They wrote Booney. Yeah, I don't understand that guy's hair. He has like a green beard, but then he has like the beard on the bottom is brown. What is that guy up to?
I try not to think about him too much because he was kind of a dick to you. He was like, I don't want to feed this outsider. And you're like,
Right.
I'm a child. Like, give me the potato mochi, Benny.
You're 15.
As far as I
you're
can
on
tell,
your
he
own.
only makes one thing too.
Yeah.
And he's like really arrogant about it. He's like, yeah, everyone really likes my potato mochi. I'm like, yeah, but can you make anything else? Like,
No.
Yeah, but have you,
don't
tried
need
our
to.
potato
When you
mochi?
found, you struck gold.
That's it. Tim Laro asks, has anyone changed your look yet? I'm glad to give you a couple options for your hairstyle, but how long until we get a properly stocked clothing store? The one in Jubilife Village has like one hat in 30 colors. Did they fall off a truck?
Mm-hmm. It's all at that ranking system. You unlock more every time you rank up.
Oh, okay.
I'm so bad at ranking.
Just throw a bunch of Pokeballs at me.
I will say though, like PSA for anyone listening that hasn't done it already, your mystery gift. Go claim your mystery gift. You can claim it
yeah.
for like the next like 3 months. You get like this cute little Growlithe ensemble and a mask. And I don't even like the mask like that, but I'm like, I'm gonna wear the mask because it was a gift.
That's like
So
the
I'm wearing
circle
mask right now.
Pikachu Eevee thing?
Where do you claim it?
You just on the oh god, that's a great
It's in
question.
your menu.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
in,
but
it's
it's
one of
in
those
It's in your
menus.
menu in the
menus.
in the Wi-Fi symbol area. There's a thing that says mystery gift, and then it'll be like, you want to connect to the internet
Yes.
to get your mystery
Right.
gift?
If you click up on the D-pad, you can't miss it. Up on the D-pad, then you hit ZL, and then you click mystery gifts. It's also where the lost and found like is for like trading in your stuff. Which again, that's such like a silly system, but I'm obsessed with going around and picking up people's lost satchels.
It's fun.
And I feel like I'm a pillar in the community.
I'm glad you do that because, like, literally, I dropped my satchel and I had to wait, like, until the next day for someone to get it for me. And I'm like, excuse me.
I don't think I'm getting any real ones. They're always like 3 names. It's like Max, Ava, and Norm every time.
Yeah, I'm getting those too, like Jonas.
Yep, I got a
Was
lot of
one?
norms.
Let me see who's missing stuff here. Yeah, is it fake? Oh my gosh.
It must be.
I think a lot of them are fake.
Yeah.
I feel like this is real.
We're fighting bots.
They're probably listening right now. Zamzi,
That
or whatever.
sounds- That could be real.
Shout out Zamzi.
Sind.
Oh, that's me.
Fury?
I'm
Wait, Sind
Sind.
is you?
Yeah. So enjoy that. Go get my
Nice.
satchel, please.
Go get
Is
his
it
stuff.
actually
get it.
you?
What's that?
Is that actually you?
Yeah, that's actually me. I mean, I assume I died in that spot then. I don't know.
Oh my god.
weird
What-
to hear.
you know
That
what you
clip.
dropped? It says it contains 5 types of items, including wood.
That was me.
sound
I
familiar?
dropped that wood. Yeah.
Oh my god! You know what? I'm gonna after this, I'll be on my way. It's an obsidian field. I get 62 MP. Why? I also wish on that note then that they maybe had like a friends tab.
Oh, that would be
That
cute.
would be cute.
Oh.
Yeah.
That feels like, well, again, Nintendo missed opportunities online. First time Nintendo's missed. God,
Yeah.
who would have thought?
I think it works really well for like a little system though, just to kind of propel you to explore. It's like, okay, there's a satchel just over that ridge. I'll guess I'll go over there, and then you discover
It
so
also
many
takes the
adventures on the
sting
way.
out of the L if you word it. Like, I haven't died yet, but
Yeah.
I didn't put anything in my inventory yet. So I'm like, I really got to start using this inventory system because I'm carrying like everything I've ever had.
Yeah. You know how you can sum this game up so far, at least in my mind? It feels like an adventure, which I haven't had in a Pokemon game since I was a wee little baby with like gold and silver, maybe. It's just so crazy to have that feeling of like, oh, it feels like we're really going on a trek here and exploring. It's just amazing. Back to clothing though. Matt Thomas wrote in and said, I'm annoyed that the best outfit in the game, Cyrus's outfit, can only be unlocked if you have saved data from Diamond and Pearl on Switch. I literally went out and bought Diamond because I thought that outfit was far and away better than the rest. I can't believe I paid $60 for an outfit.
Oh my God.
Wait, is that actually why I got that
Probably.
outfit? I had no idea. I also have, I got a Shaman kimono, which is like pink and green and really cute. It's my store's colors, so that's what I've been wearing.
Oh, of course. Yeah, it's like the Splatoon Joy-Cons.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Let's see, what am I looking like? I eventually switched back to going for like the modern look. So I have like the modern clothes and like the cool padded pants. I'll probably...
You put the clothes that you fell through the sky back on?
No, not those. They're the other ones. You know what I'm talking about? Are these the ones that he's talking about? I don't know. But there's kind of like a cool black... It looks like what a character in Diamond and Pearl would be wearing. But eventually I want to go back to a more rustic look. But yeah, I just don't want... I'm kind of sick of the kimono thing or whatever's going on.
I'm in
there.
the starter outfit because I'm really bad at my job, apparently, of researching Pokemon.
Yeah.
I'm like literally rank 2 still, but I mean, they're not impressed when I bring them in. Like, I literally fought a Lord of the Woods and subdued it, and I'm only rank 2 stars. I don't understand. Like, make it make sense. Either I'm a member of this team and I do your work, or I'm not, and I'm just going to go back to catching 25 Bidoofs.
The point of the Survey Corps is to catch a bunch of Pokemon. Like they tell you that's your job. The other stuff
Don't
is
make
like
me go fight God. That's somebody else's problem.
It's a classic freelance story where it's like, you know, the scope of the project's like not what we agreed on, but it comes up. Can you do it? I don't know. What's your budget? What's your rate? It's like, I love these tales. Most games are freelancer stories. I appreciate it. But yeah, it is a lot to like change how you just fundamentally have to change how you've like thought of it before. But I think that's, I don't know. There's like, I'm warming up to that because I'm like, okay, this is going to be different than anything I have done. And that's cool because it's not usually something I could get from a mainline game.
Yeah. I like the setup of that Lord of the Forest thing with Weirdeer, where they're making it seem like he's the spirit of the forest from Princess Mononoke, like this magical, majestic beast. And then very quickly they're like, and he really likes it when humans ride on him. Like, he thinks it's fun. It's like, okay,
also, they
cool.
were like, oh, let's take a look at him. And he's like, "Rrr," and they're like, he really likes you. Wow. It's like,
And like his face didn't even change.
No, it was very, that's what my chat said too. It was very like Lion King if you watch the live action one, which was awful because it'd be like, he's sad, he's happy. And it's just the same face because it's a freaking lion and it doesn't emote. Also, Ben, I found your satchel. It's now back to you. So there you go.
God. Thank God. I need that wood for a side quest. Thank you.
And I just want to say, like, this is probably the most emotive Pokemon game I've played, and that my character makes faces.
It's constantly, they're constantly screaming.
I made a sad face, and then everyone makes a face, and it's like,
oh my God, it's like that's like so funny and so common in this. And I don't know. Yeah, I like that as well.
I like that as well. Tim O'Keefe writes in and says, I feel like you don't spend as much time in menus. You can just call Weirdeer and you're already on it and ready to go. That is true. It's awesome. Samuel Hall writes in and says, is anyone else completely addicted to climbing stuff you're not supposed to with Weirdeer? I ran into super high level Pokemon and got destroyed because I just couldn't stop glitching and climbing hills in the first area.
I mean, that is the Breath of the Wild comparison right there, where it's just like, I know I'm not supposed to be here yet, but technically I can, so I'm gonna do it.
It's also fun just to jank up cliffs in games.
Yeah.
Like, sure, it's great if there's a mechanical way to do it, but like, what if I just was on that one little pixel of geometry and can kind of just slowly slide. On that note, though, too, like the traversal with like rear deer is a little bit awkward because, or weird deer or war deer or wire deer, I don't know, the big deer. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Like the jump is like the most like awkward, floaty, like
beautiful, graceful.
It's giving game jam. I'm not gonna lie. It's not stopping me from enjoying the game, but I'm like, what happened? I mean, I'm like, maybe this is why I could never have jumped before. Maybe that was a good decision.
Maybe, yeah. Shazira writes in and says, it is bonkers to me that this game was designed to not give the player a jump action. Unless you're on Weird Deer.
I just wish my character knew the difference between like a tiny step and a mountain. Because if you're trying to like traverse and if you go up even the slightest incline, your speed is cut by like 80% and your character's like, oh my God. Oh, it's so steep. And you're like, it's not.
You could lift your leg and just,
I know, I'm like, you're not even
trying.
You could have just lifted your knee, lift your knees.
Waranis writes in and says, so far my scariest encounter in the game has been falling in the water, apparently drowning, rematerializing halfway on the ledge, and realizing movement in any direction resulted in drowning again. Thankfully, it doesn't appear possible to be knocked unconscious from drowning, and I was eventually able to roll along the ledge and swim far enough to trigger a new respawn point.
Oh God.
That's just good
You
gaming.
can just teleport. If you ever get stuck, because I did that, I like slowly skidded down a cliff to get a Magikarp. And then once I got down there was like no way to get back up. And then you can just teleport back to any of the camps.
Yeah.
That is so nice.
It makes me wonder, like, we're clearly going to get something that climbs rocks, right?
I hope so. Because they're putting a lot of stuff up cliffs. So either we're going to fly or we're going to climb.
Yeah.
Because there's stuff up on that cliff that I can't get to.
Joe Halaska submits a comment, says, I'm going to turn my deepest dive comment over to my 5-year-old daughter, who's currently obsessed with all things Pokemon. Her comment is, why is that Shinx stuck in a tree? For context, a Shinx spawned in presumably the same coordinates as a tree, and it got stuck in the tree, unable to be caught or battled. This has to be one of the most technically messy games I've ever played, where I can easily turn a blind eye to the mess and love it regardless.
Sometimes God makes mistakes, okay? He's not perfect.
And you need to put him down.
I did have a floating Pokemon at one point, and it's from slightly past the stopping point, so I won't share it until later. But I did take a clip of it. It's very entertaining.
That Sphinx thing it was amazing that was like the first scary Pokemon, the first one that can attack you. And I was just amazed at the base level of, it was a level 2, and I threw a Pokeball at it and it broke out. This is this moment of like, okay, this is a different Pokemon game. Or maybe just these Pokeballs are as terrible as they look. They have like a freaking zipper knob on the front, so it's just really easy to break out. It's like, this is so crazy to have a Pokemon game where I have to throw multiple Pokeballs at a level 2 little freak out there who's just destroying me. Let's see. Oh, on the tech front, let's see. Xavier Perez says, I've never cared less about graphics before in my life. This game is so fun to play that literally everything else is secondary, and I can't think of any time in my life where that was the case. I just want them to do a dozen of these. I was expecting a lot more negativity on the visuals, and it really, not many people wrote in about it. It's like Wesley Minner here was the only one. He says, coming from the biggest IP in the world, this game still feels like it has a pitiful budget. No voice acting, story cutscenes, and almost no custom animations. There's no cooking, crafting animation, or jingle, even though the graphics look very similar to Breath of the Wild. What gives? Yeah.
I mean, most of those things I don't care about, but I do think that, I mean, okay. I think you can both expect that these are the graphics we're going to get and be okay with it, and also be like, come on, like, why? Right. You have so much money. Like,
yeah, I think
why are they
all
like
agree
this?
that the graphics are lacking. Like, I don't know, like, that's kind of the obvious part of it, right? That's like one of the drawbacks of this game, but the rest of it is still really fun.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to say like, oh, despite the graphics, like, it's still a fun game.
But you want to say that.
Better.
And they're also like, I mean, okay, obviously they're bad for this generation, but like, if you were able to enjoy PS2 games and PS3 games and stuff, it's like, that's just what this is. Like, as long as when those games came out, those blew our minds, and they looked fine, and they're very like parsable, you know, like you can be like, yeah, that's a tree. That's like, I see where things are and understand this world. And like, I'm fine with games being like that if that means that we get cool experiences. Like, if they were going to take another year and a half on this project just so it looked prettier, I'd be like, eh.
Yeah,
you know?
I
would take that actually.
I'd take that.
I would
year.
take
really?
the extra year and a half,
Yeah, I
100%. And they're never going to do that because that's just not what they do. But I would like I think it'd be fun to have a better looking one, even something that looked as nice as like Snap maybe, which isn't like blowing my mind. But I think the Snap was pretty to look at because that was kind of the point of that game though. It's about looking at things and being like, this is cute. Yay. Like that's kind of the whole shtick. For me, it's a weird mix. Like I think it's totally valid to mention the visuals being underwhelming, but it's been interesting talking to people that are more bothered by it because it's a lot of light revisionist history, I feel like, where people were like, man, it doesn't even look as good as Sword and Shield. And I'm like, and maybe that could still be true, but I'm like, y'all thought Sword and Shield was ugly, and now you're talking about, actually, it was really nicely stylized.
Well,
which one is it?
Maybe.
Which one is it? It's a little bit of both, isn't it? Because like you're not going to be happy unless it really looks good. But let's be honest, most games on the Switch don't look good. And hot take, people want to say Breath of the Wild looks good. And
Don't say it, Janet.
I like it
Don't
fine,
say it.
But even when it launched, I was like, this leaves something to be desired. And I think looking back on it and playing it again, it's a Switch.
Yeah.
Almost nothing looks good on it. The best looking game is Metroid Dread, and that would be like the worst looking PlayStation game. Like,
yeah.
That's just where we're at.
Best looking game, probably Mario Galaxy or Mario Odyssey, I'd say.
Mario Odyssey was very nice looking as well. But like, it's one of those things where, and like, I love Nintendo probably more than anything, despite all the pain. And it's one of those things where when I play on other consoles, I'm like, oh my God, I forgot games look like really good now. Cause like, I don't know, the Switch has never been, Nintendo's never been a powerhouse.
For sure.
Ever. So I don't know.
I was expecting worse with everybody. And people are saying that later in the game, it really starts to bog down and whatnot. But just looking at like how the wild areas in Sword and Shield ran like crap, the idea of this entire game being a wild area, I was bracing for impact. And you never know, like maybe when they started this game's development, they had whispers from Nintendo that like, there's going to be a Switch Pro by the time this thing comes out. Don't worry about it. So maybe they had to kind of scale it down by the end in some way. But yeah, it doesn't look amazing, and it's running at a solid 23 frames per second, but it's like, it's honestly better than I was expecting, which is a sad thing.
It is kind of...
They had like the confidence to do that Breath of the Wild pan when you first step out of the village.
Right.
And I was like, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, don't
Of course
do it.
they're gonna do
and then
it.
they do the pan, and it's like, oh, a tree on some dirt texture. Like that looks, I was like, I'm happy that but I was like not expecting them to do that because they did the whole like, look at the world, and I was like,
yeah.
oh, look at the world. Like,
Don't look.
Yeah, and it is definitely, you know, people have talked a lot about like it feeling empty and it being empty or it being boring. And so far, I really like it. I don't have any of those opinions really, but I will say I'll take less trees that maybe still don't look very good than all the pop-in that Sword and Shield had, which I accepted the pop-in because when I even previewed that game, I'm like, there is pop-in. And then when it launched, there's pop-in. I was like, is the pop-in going to be there? And they're like, yeah. And it's just like, there's just pop-in in that game. And it's
Even
very
Poplio
drastic.
was poppin'.
Yeah, Poplio was it was just, everything was pop-in. Like, you know, big thing, it's just everywhere. But this feels a lot more like naturally integrated. And even though I'm not going to applaud like the performance or visuals of the game, I personally don't find it very grating by any means. Like, I think it looks like what I thought it would look like.
Right. Yep.
The end.
That's it. The end. Gerardo writes in and says, just to be clear, I like the game, but I'm getting Pokemon Snap vibes when updating the Pokedex, just with all those little quests, like new Pokemon Snap. I think there is something
That's a good
there.
point.
Yeah, I was worried about that. But people saying, at least, you know, the Twitch chat, that like they're not getting too bogged down by all the quests in the Pokedex so far. Ryan McLemore writes in and says, I would never think to take the time to use the Poison Sting 25 times with bad Pokemon, but the reward of checking another thing off by doing that is the joy I need in my life. All right, take it. Take the Poison Sting, please. Yeah, people are still enjoying it. Monkey Man 11 says, randomly finding a cave full of Machops is definitely the highlight for this part of the game so far. You got to tell me where that cave is. Did you find this Machop cave, everybody?
yeah, that's where I got my Happini.
Yeah.
God.
I didn't know there was a Happini in there. That's new.
God, I
You
need
just
to
have to
explore.
pop it there.
Okay.
I don't know why it's in a cave, but okay.
Owen Carter writes in, how cool is it that you can throw your whole team of Pokemon and their actual sizes shown? Yeah, that's amazing. We should.
And
I
the
could
way
pet
that
them.
alphas, like, the size difference between the alphas and the regular Pokemon is really cool too. Like just the fact that you can have like a giant, like Paris or something,
right?
Like just something really dumb, normally small, and you're like, oh, you're a big boy.
Austin Brekeen writes in and says, Alpha Pokemon staring you down after knocking out your Pokemon in battle is absolutely terrifying. You're next, says Austin. Yeah, should be. I like being scared of those things. Hugo H2P, can we take a moment to appreciate the new evolution cutscene? The Pokemon turning all black with yellow glowing eyes makes them so sinister and badass and really speaks to how they view Pokemon back then. Even a doofus like Bidoof turning into Bibarel looks menacing during it. Hell yeah. I guess it didn't stand out to me too much, but now I'm going to be paying attention to how scary that looks. Let's see. Oh, Johnny M writes in. He says, hey, Min-Max, first time joining a Deepest Dive. Thank you, Johnny. Thank you, Johnny. Janet. Thank you, Johnny.
Woo! I always get roped into these things. Like, they'll just randomly throw to me, and I'm just like in my head, like, what is going on?
Because in my head, I realize that I'm doing a thing, and then I look at the three of you staring blankly, and I feel like a jackass. So I'm trying to soften it any way I can. Anyways, Johnny M writes in, he says, hey, Min-Max, the flute you get plays the first few notes of the title theme from Diamond and Pearl, which a lot of people wrote in. They're like, diddle diddle.
I feel like I'm missing out a lot in that Diamond. I played Diamond and Pearl, but it wasn't my Pokemon game. Like, I like Ruby and Sapphire. So I feel like I'm just missing out on everyone. Like, a character appears and they're like, oh, that's such and such from Diamond and Pearl. And I'm like, I swear I played that game.
Yeah.
I don't know who any of these people are.
I guess that's why they made it again. It's like, it's funny because it should have clicked way before it did for me. But then it's like, oh, this makes sense on why they had like this one come out. And then it not that they're like, you have to play that, but
yeah, it's fun. It's
clear they see these as like a pairing, like a Pokemon experience pairing for this year or like the last 2 years. And I'm like, well, I skipped the appetizer and I'm just eating the entree, and it still tastes pretty good. So it's okay.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I wish it would have been Ruby and Sapphire. I don't know. Cause that was like land versus sea, which makes more sense than space and time. But I guess if you have to isekai it through a wormhole, like, I guess it makes sense.
Yeah, I saw people on Twitch asking for like, oh, it'd be cool to have a black and white version in the same time period to see like early America or whatever.
We'll get that or something.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what Pokemon Legends is what's gonna become.
It's just like the founding fathers with Pokemon.
Yeah.
That's gonna be so dumb. But I'm all for it. On that note, I think it was Mike Spam who noted, and I haven't seen anybody else talk about this, but I assume he's right because he seems smart with Pokemon lore. But he mentioned that like the second base that you expand out to in the field, like your second little fast travel point, that you setting that base camp, that is the same location that a town is in Diamond and Pearl. So you're effectively like starting that town. It's like, that's really cool. G-Max Thurin also knows his Pokemon lore. He says, here's a collection of little tidbits. Your first battle is against Volo, the ancestor of Cynthia, who previously has served as your last battle of the story. They also use Togepi, which Cynthia gives you an egg for in Platinum. Also, I'm fairly certain that Anth, the tailor, I hate saying that word out loud. Anth, the tailor, is the ancestor of Darach, who serves as the frontier brain in Gen 4. There's also Sanqua, who you can find at Galaxy headquarters, who looks like the Elite Four member Karen from Gold and Silver. The message that displays after you tame Weirdeer with the Celestica Flute is similar to the one you get in Pokemon Coliseum after purifying a Pokemon with the Time Flute. It quote-unquote opened its heart. Once again, screaming for people to play Coliseum because it's cool. Yeah, I've heard people really defend the story mode in Coliseum. Maybe I should go play that at some point.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to ramble on about Gale of Darkness, but what do you have to say?
Just that there's a lot of really cool tiny Easter eggs in here for like, have you been paying attention to Pokemon lore? Because like, we put those things in here.
Right. You're not treating it like Monster Hunter lore, are you? Just to make sure everybody out there, you're paying attention? Let's see. Connor asks, what is up with the fashion sense in the Hisui region? I know that Pokemon characters generally look like poorly dressed Polly Pockets. How dare you? But having the Galaxy Commander in a traditional kimono standing next to Irida wearing what seems to be booty shorts and a sports bra is decidedly not drip. Is that a phrase?
Yeah.
Is that a fashion phrase? Drip?
Not drip. It looks like Irida shops at Old Navy. Like, that's just the vibe I get from her. I don't know what it is, but it's weird that they're doing this whole like East meets West, where like the entire town is very like, they dress very like in a older Japanese style, and then you have the Galaxy team, which is also older Japanese style. And then I don't know what's going on with Irida. Like, there's something going on. And then, and then you have people wearing, like, hoodies. And then you have the Ginkgo people with their, like, European little... I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah. Fashion's just free-flowing back then. There are no rules. There's no TikTok to tell you how to dress.
Why are they so mad at my, like, t-shirt and shorts? Like, especially after seeing Iridia, I was like... Why was everyone acting like I'm like such a slut for walking around in a
She's the freak, everybody get her. Yeah.
That's a great point.
I like that you can change your eye color when you're changing your clothes. I wasn't expecting that like with context.
They're just like, you're always wearing contacts.
Yeah. We all wear contacts back here in time, as they put it. Jiaran wrote in with something that a lot of people wrote in about, saying this game is full of so many little details that make it special. Like when you're in a home and you walk onto the upper wooden portion of the floor, your character's shoes come off automatically. Respectful bare feet inside is mandatory. It's true. Also, a fun fact, Game Freak, you have to take your shoes off to walk on the development floor. It's a shoeless development office. Sarah, is that a common thing in Japan?
Cool.
Yeah, do you have any insight on that?
A4 was too.
Really?
Although Square Enix wasn't.
Okay.
You can keep your shoes on in Square Enix. I guess it just depends on like the size of the space and how many people.
Yeah.
I guess I just never thought of like your job as like a respectful place that you have to, you know, because it's like I always heard like, you take your shoes off when you go into someone's home and that sort of thing. Like those things make sense to me, but like also when you go to work, that feels like the time to wear shoes. I don't know.
I like the idea of just.
I'm not wearing shoes right now, nor did I wear them all day at work, but but I'm working from home. It's different.
No one wears shoes anymore. It's the pandemic. Sean Mills says, I really like the side mission where a woman asks you to investigate a ghost in her house at night. Did y'all do this one
That
yet?
was a cute one. That was really cute.
I need to go back and do that one. I haven't done yet. Mason Cowell says, I love the fact you can attain 7 stars just from the first area. Just to make you feel bad, Sarah, Mason's just annihilating.
I'm gonna like hire a child to like grind out catching all these Pokemon.
That's you. You are the child.
Your inner
I just
child?
want to make my team and play the story. I do not care about Galaxy and their research. I'm from the future. I could just tell them. I probably already know this.
Do we think that the game's going to go in the direction of you're forming Team Galactic and you're not aware of it? Or is it going to be like a subtle nod?
I think it's less that and more that
so
this
horrified.
is where they got their name inspiration from.
Oh, okay. Yep. I can see that.
That's my guess.
I like it. Fork says, I love the setting for this game. It's heavily inspired by, Meiji-era Hokkaido. The Galaxy Hall looks exactly like the Hokkaido government office building from the late 1800s. It's very fun. If you look that up, it's identical. And there are many other Hokkaido-specific inspirations, such as the culture of the indigenous Ainu people, and potato mochi is in fact a popular snack in the region. Oh, look at that. Willie Aguilar says, haven't seen anyone mention this yet, but the roof of the Survey Corps building has a Galarian wheezing design and 2 Magikarps on it. Yeah, it's got like the pipes or like a big wheezing. It's fun. Here's something we haven't talked about. Captain Cobblepot submits a comment over on Patreon saying, I really enjoy the Styles approach where you can train your Pokemon to be agile or strong in combat. It's cool.
Yeah.
I wasn't using it too much until somebody in chat recommended the obvious thing, which is a godsend in Pokemon, which is, just when you're trying not to kill a Pokemon because trying to get its health low before you catch it, just switch to agile. It's like, oh my God, that's so refreshing.
And also, if you like that dichotomy, there's a game where you can brave and
Not interested. But you should all play Forgotten City. Let's see. Matthew Weatherly here says, about an hour into the game, I thought to myself, this game should really have gyro controls for ball throwing. Several hours passed, and while accidentally going into the options, I found motion sensitivity settings. I cannot believe this is not more obvious. My advice is setting it to 1, and that seems to be the sweet spot. Gotta catch them all with the gyro. That's interesting. I don't know if I want to use gyros. Anybody else interested?
I'm okay.
Yeah.
I don't think it hasn't been that hard yet. Because they don't move that fast. If they start to move really fast, then maybe I'll think about it, but...
Right. Other beats we haven't hit yet, everybody? It's confusing that they call Arceus the Almighty Sinnoh. So eventually that's just going to be the name of the region, is named after their god. It's a weird detail.
I guess
Not to throw us back into the lore. But sure. Let's see, there's a Kari which is like the woman helping me out. For you guys, is it like a guy? Your little buddy?
Yeah, your fake rival. Yeah, it's a dude.
Okay. Do you remember the name?
Ray or K? It's a 3-letter thing that ends in EI, and I can't remember the first letter.
I feel bad for him because he's like afraid of his Pikachu.
Yeah.
Which is really funny. And like, I get it. Like, yeah, like Pikachu, sort of bullied Ash for a long time, but he's like, I'm too afraid to use it. And I'm like,
it's like Ray or Rye.
My dude, like,
it's Ray. Yeah, someone just confirmed it.
Get an easier Pokemon. Also, I was really mad when he like whipped out a Pikachu. Like, I want a Pikachu.
It'd be nice. We'll get it. It'll be a big traffic moment.
Come on.
Well, because usually they pick the opposite type that you pick. Right?
Right,
and then
right.
I was surprised when a Pikachu popped out. I was like, excuse me?
I like that though. It felt like such a flex / a nod to the Pokemon history that we know that our character maybe knows that the people in the game don't know, which is weird layers. For some reason, I'm excited to do more of like the little quests and things because I did a few of those, but I really wanted to stay within that 5 hours and I played 6 already. So I'm like, okay, I don't want to, even though it's like, it's fair game, but I'm like, I know I didn't do this all in this amount of time. And there's a bunch of other games that's floating in the embargoed wind anyway.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to do more of this stuff. Like I screenshotted this quest. Request 6, mushroom cake marketing. Like I'm so excited to do that.
Oh, I gotta get that spongy mushroom.
I like all like I don't know. It's like I like how it's leaning into the simminess of things. Like I enjoy that element and I always like that in Pokemon games. Like I love even though it was a little bit half-baked, which often is the case, but like the camping and stuff in Sword and Shield and how you could like play with your Pokemon. Like I would love to see, again, Ben, you mentioned like how much are they going to build? I wish we didn't have to restart every time. Like we've made so many of the games have been made. Right. What if we just stacked all the features into one thing? I don't know. Maybe it would be an awful game if I had control. So it's fair.
You know what's absolutely unforgivable? The fake dialogue choices. It is such a Pokemon staple, but like, are you ready to go on the greatest adventure ever? Will you join my team? And you can say yes or meh. And then I choose meh. And then he just repeats the same dialogue. It is embarrassing. And look, I know I
tried to tell my rival that I was busy. He was like, can you help me train?
Right.
And I was like, I have a mission. And then he was like, oh, but I really need to train. And I was like, I have a mission. And he's like, I really need to. And I'm like, okay, I'll kick your ass again. How many times do I have to do this?
It's insane. It's not worth it. Just don't give us that option then. Is it just, it feels so condescending. Like, do you think we're so stupid that we're just going to agree to this and we're not even going to test the boundaries of having any creative agency on this end? It's insulting. And
I did enjoy watching you play a little bit because I felt like you were trying to like see what the game would let you do in the tutorial.
Right.
Like you were like, let me try to escape town. Let me try and I don't know. Just playing enough Pokemon games, I'm like, well, I know they're not gonna let me do anything fun, so like let's just get this over with.
Yeah, I tried to leave without choosing a starter to see if they would just like let me die.
Right.
I was like, what if I didn't pick? They don't. They made me
actually make you do it. Yeah. Hey, I think that's it for the first discussion for the deepest dive. Obviously, thank you to everybody who submitted comments over there on Patreon. If we didn't talk about something for this chunk, or if you're going to have some thoughts that you'd like us to read on the show about the rest of the game, which I'd imagine you will have thoughts on it, you can head on over to patreon.com/minmax with 2 N's, supports at the $2 tier, and we will have a post up on February 13th. Looking for your comments about the rest of the game, but don't worry, like you don't have to beat the game if that's too much for you. Just however much you play, submit a comment about whatever you played. We'd love to have it. If you enjoy this format, the deepest dive, giving these games the discussions they deserve, you can help support the format over there, and we'd love to read your comments. You can unlock the podcast version, all that fun stuff. That's it. How's everybody feeling?
I'm excited to play the rest of the game. Like I just unlocked like the Myers or whatever, and I keep seeing people catching Pokemon like that I haven't seen yet.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh man, I want to catch that so bad.
Yep, that is definitely the camp I'm in. I am so eager to jump in this and actually soak in the systems, get in the grind, get in the groove. It's a great podcast game as well. Just listen to podcasts while playing it in that beautiful, beautiful, open, quiet world. I'm excited to jump back in. I feel like, hopefully we weren't too critical about this game. I guess, we have those points in this discussion, but it's like, there's always going to be nits to pick with Pokemon games, but this game is excellent so far. But it's so much of it is just like giving me the feelings of a Pokemon game that I've wanted for so long. So it's tough to like gauge against other 2022 releases, you know?
The takeaway is that we're all enjoying it.
Yeah.
Like, there's other things to say about it, of course, but like if you take one thing away from this, right, it's like, yeah, it's worth playing. It's good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned like, oh, I hope we weren't too negative, because I just like earlier I was talking with like the Kind of Funny crew and everyone's like, whatever, I don't feel anything anymore, and I'm like, no, it's fun. No. Like, you know, I'm walking around, like, so I mean, obviously I think both conversations have value. Like, it's just fun talking to people about games and what they like and what they don't like. But yeah, I mean, it's just nice to be among people like you're just talking about what's good, what's not, and what we're excited about, and being excited again. And I think even though some people it's not hitting for them, and I've even read some reviews that are maybe like a little more like, whatever, this still doesn't do anything. Yeah, it's been nice to be just on the internet and around and seeing people, not only just a game that is doing something different, but also people really take to it. But also I feel like the praise isn't crazy on the other end of the spectrum either. I feel like it's very much people being like, I'm enjoying this, and maybe I haven't in a while, and this is nice, and I like that it did that. I feel like the game at least succeeded in that regard, because it feels like if it did hit for you, it did in a refreshing way. Yeah. Which has been nice to see from people. Like my boyfriend just beelined this. He beat it already, which is insane. I'm like, you don't even have to make content, and you're just out here gaming for 18 hours. Like, I don't know.
It seems like a lot of people got through it really fast.
That's amazing.
And I don't know if it's just me, like, what's around this rock? But I've been like combing the lands for Pokemon.
Right.
So I don't know. It seems like you can miss a lot if you do just beeline the main story. Which I mean, you gotta explore, and I feel like that's the first time in a Pokemon game that I felt like I had to explore.
I mean, like that none of you saw the Eevee. You know, it's like you have to like actually look at every part of the landscape, because I mean, there's clusters of all kinds of different Pokemon, but there are several parts just in the first area where it's like there's one spawns here, so you better like walk around this little area and find the like Abra or the Pichu or the Eevee or whatever.
Yeah. Outside of starters, is anybody committed to sticking with anybody in their party throughout the entire game?
Ooh.
And the shiny Psyduck.
Yeah, shinies. Ooh.
That is a good find.
Does that mean it's automatically a shiny Golduck?
Huh?
Is it automatically a shiny Golduck then?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, I've actually already evolved it. It is a Golduck now.
Oh, I love Golduck, but I have Duat right now, or Dewat or whatever. It's like, I think I'm good on that front, but...
Ooh.
I like Drifloon.
I don't like anybody here. I'm looking at them. This is a team of stinkers here. We got like, here's who's in my party at this exact moment. Cyndaquil, starter, so that's going to stay. Maybe the whole game, I like Geodude, but I don't think he's going to make it to the end. We got Drifloon. We got
I like Drifloon.
Buizel?
Buizel. Respect Buizel. You keep pretending to forget his name.
And honestly, I'll be frank. I don't know if I've ever seen Buizel before in my life. And that happens to me because like, when you don't, it's so awkward when you play a lot of Pokemon, but not every single game, and you don't watch like the cartoon or the anime or whatever, because you'll see someone and you're like, are you new or am I dumb? And I like hate like playing are you new or am I ignorant? It's like my least favorite game to play within the metagame of Pokemon. They're like, oh, he's been around since the 80s or something. I'm like, how is that possible? The game came out in the 90s. I don't know, man. I just see him and it is what it is. And then Bidoof is there as well. So it's not the hottest squad in the streets 5 hours in.
Save Bidoof for the post-game content, I think. It's going to be important. Yeah, I love my Gyarados right now, but he's too obvious. So I want to get
What does that mean?
I just, I feel like, oh, I have a Dragonite in my party. Aren't I cool? Aren't I original? It's like,
it's given like, it's a little basic, but it's classic is what it is.
It's basic, but
I guess that's how I feel about the Alakazam in my party too. It's
you like, an Alakazam?
Yeah.
She got the Abra.
Oh my God.
And then I traded with someone.
All right. I'm going to get that Abra because I love Alakazam. Is he too obvious?
Like
He's
Drifloon.
basic too? I do too.
I'm kind of sad that it was so cheap and available, Like Drifloon's one of my favorite Pokemon, and then it's like the only ghost Pokemon that comes out at night that I found so far.
But isn't it cool that like
I find a shiny because they're really good. They're like yellow and blue.
Oh, that's cool.
But like I love Drifloon, and then they made him like Bidoof level cheap.
But I love that. I love that they throw something as weird as Drifloon so early in the game. I thought it was cool. Like what a weird choice. You gotta respect Drifloon out of the gate. Okay, all right. Put it out to pasture. All right. Thanks so much, everybody. If you're watching this whole thing and you haven't subscribed to MinMax's YouTube channel, we'd appreciate that. Otherwise, we'll be back in a couple of weeks, and we hope to read your comment for the second discussion for the Deepest Dive. Kelsey Lewin, tell us what's new. Where should people go if they want to hear more from you and learn more about video game history?
Yeah, I mean, if you're watching the video, my Twitter handle's like right down there.
Yep.
Thanks, Ben. I'm at Kelsey Lewin on Twitter. You can also follow the Video Game History Foundation. We're at gamehistory.org. Go to our website, gamehistory.org, or listen to our podcast about video game history, the Video Game History Hour.
Awesome. Is there like a strong Nintendo-themed episode that people watching this might be especially interested in for the podcast? I'm trying to think.
Well, there are several episodes with you. So if you listen to MinMax and you like Ben Hansen, there's a couple Ben Hansen episodes, which are good.
That's true. So
there are also Nintendo episodes, but
there are. Yeah, please subscribe to the podcast.
Not
it
a Pokemon
excellent.
one yet, though.
Not yet. Janet, you want to plug anything?
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter and Twitch and everywhere else on the internet under the handle GameOnysus. And I have, because we're in game review season, I have stuff going up on my site Pen to Pixels. It's Pen to Pixels. I think so far this year I've done 2 reviews. More to come. And my right eye just twitched when I said that, which is a little scary. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, check those out. Give them a read. Click and leave the page open for a few minutes. Scroll to the bottom. You don't actually even have to read it. I just do anything to interact with it because it was a lot of work and I'd like to keep doing it.
Awesome. Yeah, it really feels like we're in early November, mid-November with the releases now. It's overwhelming, but there's a lot to talk about. Sarah, what do you got going on?
I have my Twitch channel at SarahPods. You can follow me on Twitter at SarahPods. I will probably be streaming more Pokemon this upcoming week because now I can go wherever and do whatever I want.
Hell yeah, we're all liberated. And you are too, so we look forward to reading your comments. All right, thanks so much, everybody. Until next time. Until next time, we'll see you next space? I don't know. It's not important. Okay, bye, everybody. If you are sick of snark, clickbait, and an avalanche of movie news, you can help support independent games media by subscribing to MinMax's YouTube channel here or checking out the benefits over on Patreon. It's a nice, clean handshake. You support us, and we won't make dumb, condescending stuff for you. Your support helps us continue our mission of focusing on games, friends, and getting better. Patreon.com/MinMax with 2 N's. We'd appreciate it.